Hi, everyone. Hey, hello. It is I, Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole. How are you all doing? Hey, everyone. Rissa, Falcon of Venom, I saw Verum in there. So, what are you seeing right now? Ooh, the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Krellin, 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 Bobellin, banana, fanner, felon, fee, fi, mo, melon. Krellin, the melon felon, Rissa, 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 Bobissa, banana, fanna, fofissa, fifa, momissa. Rissa, But if the first two letters are ever the same, I drop them both, then say the name. Like Bob, Bob, drop the B's, Bo, or Fred, Fred, drop the F's, fo, red, or Mary, Mary, drop the M's, mo, airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. Beetle wins, Beetle wins, Beetle wins, Bo, Eatle wins, banana, fanna, fo, fetal wins, fee, fi, mo, metal wins. Beetle wins. Hey everybody, how are you? I'm so excited. I am singing already. You do still see boxes. Melon Felon on deck. I'm glad that, here's the thing. I really feel like Krellin, when I see you in person, I'll be like, Krellin, do you have some melons? And you'll be like, yes. And then I'll be like, where? And you're like, follow me. And then I'll follow you out back because we meet in a taqueria. And in back, there's like this huge, tractor trailer truck, like the big, 18-wheelers. And that you stole. And then you roll up the back of the 18-wheeler and it's full of melon. There are just all these melons in this 18-wheeler. And they're delicious watermelons and maybe some really ripe honeydew. Not ripe honeydew is kind of gross, but good honeydew is really good. And then maybe some cantaloupe, it's fine. But the point is, there'll be all these melons in this 18-wheeler that I feel like is gonna happen at some point. I mean, maybe not, but that's up to you. Scamadeck, that shirt this shirt, Honey Baked Shenanigans with the Golden Glory holes, is the shirt for the superhero game that I played with Dot, where I first met Stiver, who is in City of Light and Shadows. So that was our moment. We got a t-shirt made for our game. Riss is not used to the new setup yet, and I still see boxes. This is true. You do still see boxes, but I actually did a thing today, and they are the same boxes. I've been working on boxes in the other room before I got to these boxes, because these boxes are more annoying than those boxes. The boxes in the other room are oh, let me unpack, some things from my bathroom, or oh, here's a random thing. And I've got I still have a box of, I have to unpack the box of my hats. And those things are just much easier to unpack than those boxes, which are going to be irritating. I'm just letting you know they're going to be irritating. That is a thing. But, I illegally imported melons. Krella needs to be working on his melon felony. Beetlewind says, I don't know if it's just the camera angle, but that top shelf on the white bookcase looks a little precarious. Beetlewind's, this shelf is a little tired. I don't think it's gonna fall, but it is a little tired. That shelf is just having a little bit of a hard time. So, the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. the first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fan, or info. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Atomica, 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 bobatomica, banana, fana, fofatomica, fee, fi, momatomica. Atomica. Thank you, everybody who has subbed. Welcome in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's here yet. I'm gonna check tomorrow. I think it'll be good. I finally got my mailbox key, but they told me this is a weird thing. I haven't tested it to see what they mean by this, but apparently they had to replace the lock on the mailbox. And so the person who was doing the mailbox replacement brought out the drill and just kept, yay, level 1 emotes. Yay, Hype Train. Apparently the person who was trying to drill out the lock was having a hard time being competent, and they spent like 2 hours trying to drill the lock out of the mailbox, and they broke a bunch of drill bits. They went through lots of different drill bits, and apparently in the end they finally got the new lock on, but it's kind of, as it was described to me, as there's something slightly wrong with it, and the person wasn't able to describe to me what that might mean, but they said that, like, it's like, when you go, how, like, this is what they described to me, and I'm going to describe it to you, and I don't think you're going to know what I'm saying because I don't know what he was saying. I'm going to have to try and find out what it really means. He's like, how, like, in a mailbox, like, there's that latch, when you put the key in and you turn it, it, like, turns the latch, and I'm like, yeah, and he's like, it's not gonna... when you put the key in, it's kind of like, if you go too far, it'll be here, but you go too far, it'll be there. And I was like, do you mean you have to, like, jiggle the key in the lock, or like, but it was unclear what that means. Apparently I will find out. The lock is fixed, but put a snake in there. Is it poisonous? Who knows? I feel like that's my life right now. This is what I feel like my life is like. Beetlewind says, yeah, unpacking is basically video games done, books done, clothes and plates. It's fair. And they get them packed. Actually wear them. This is fair. Sounds like the latches on my pad. Yeah. Hey, Origami. So, like, I don't really know what they're talking about. Let's do that. I don't really know what they're talking about, So what I wanted to tell you, is, by the way, did I tell you I'm Tripper SJP? I feel like I did. Our giveaway for today is Them's Fightin' Herds, which is an indie action game. I assume it has to do with cattle. And here, let me move this. I was having difficulty being competent. Is my new favorite subtle shade. Yeah, that's just, I feel like that's what was going on there. My first question would have been, you gonna fix it? Maybe. I'm just like, does it work? Yes, you do, Origami Shuriken. Yes, you do. Origami Shuriken was in this game with me, and it was awesome. Just a side note. Yeah, I don't know. They also told me that they're not going to be able to fix the cable situation. I'm going to have to do it. There's just a lot of it. There's a lot of excitement, is what I'm trying to say. Them's Fightin' Herds was originally going to be a fan fighting game for My Little Pony, but after a cease and desist, they rebranded. Well, that sounds exciting. That sounds really, really exciting. I like it. So this is what I did today that I thought you might find interesting. So I bought before I moved, because when I moved into the new place, when I moved into the place, not this place, but the new dorm room, Falcon of Venom says, what I'm hearing is they have a problem with competence and don't wanna. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm also a little worried about my rent bill because we're doing it through this online system. And like I keep checking the online system for when they're going to post the rent bill. And it's just not posted yet. But it's not like there's nothing posted. There's like a credit of $100 posted. And I was like, are you going to... So it's like, how much is due? -$100. And I was like, well, I know my bill is due before the 1st of the month, but you haven't posted it yet? Like, are you going to... Like, I don't know what's up with them. That's all I'm going to say. Yes. So before, when I moved into the new dorm, I was a little concerned that, like when I moved in there, I was like, ooh, the sound is a little bit, like the door is right next to the hallway, people are yelling, and I wanted to get something that might help dampen the sound. So I went and I got this sound dampening curtain. But then I decided I didn't need it, so I didn't put it up. I used like a little, it's actually the little things over there. It's like a little thing for the bottom of your door, which dampens a little bit of sound. And so I didn't put it up. But now that I had this like really reverberant sound space, I went and I just got a whole bunch of command strips, like a bunch of command strips, like many. And I used 8 command strips to hang up this curtain on the wall right over there. And I hope that the lighting still works. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear the difference, but there is now a sound dampening curtain that is right behind all of my computers, which I think is making things less reverberant. It seems like it is. So I think that might be good. Rissa says, it sounds like you have the same maintenance dude we do. Dave is definitely not the sharpest knife in the drawer here. Punctured the gas line while installing a new water heater. Oh no. We called the SDG&E rather than having them send him back. I think that's be a thing with property management companies. Yeah. Phone your landlord and be all, you owe me $100. Where is it? I think I should say you owe me $100,000 because that might be more exciting. I'm familiar with the concept of a weed blanket trooper. I use ones in the dorms as well. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Yeah, it seems like it's a difference to me. So I feel, I still look wet. Hey, it is hot, humid, and raining. Also, my lighting is a little bit weird. We're going to see what it looks like as it gets dark. Right, because I've got the blinds open, which you can probably tell, and I've got the softbox that's supposed to be bouncing light onto me, except that I don't know if that black curtain is going to wreck it, and then I've got this little light over here. So we're going to just see. Oh, you know what we can do? Oh, I still look well. Look, thank you. So look, I'm going to turn off the softbox, and I want you to tell me what you think. Although you probably really can't tell as long as I'm actually getting natural lighting. Hold on. See, I feel like that's a little darker, right? Because it feels darker to me, right? And then I don't feel like you can't even tell. I suppose you can tell. Yeah. Falcon says, yeah, I haven't reset my streaming software for the new place that I can stream games, right? And like, I don't know if you can tell the difference, and I feel like we'll just find out when it actually gets darker. It's the same picture. Yeah, I don't know. It was certainly making a difference before, but I don't know if this has changed things. If light's not bouncing off that curtain, maybe what I could do is try to bounce the softbox off the ceiling. Because apparently you're always supposed to bounce things off of things. That's like the way to do it, apparently. I don't even know. I'm drinking orange juice, and then I'm going to be drinking water. Okay, so all day yesterday was meetings, and I'm going to do a bunch. Oh, I should tell you, I feel like I should tell you, I am hosting Critical Role tonight on this channel if you want to hang out with us and chat with us in our chat. Our chat is very friendly, and we don't, we're nice. So if you want to watch Critical Role and have a chat that does not move super fast and full of nice people, you can hang out with us. We are very friendly. That is all. Let me see. What? I just say put a white sheet over the blanket. Oh. I mean, I do have more command strips, but I don't think I have a white sheet. I have to think about it. It might be the lamp in the background throwing your face into shadow. Oh, maybe. I think it's just because of the sun sort of hitting in this weird way. Maybe. And we don't criticize Mercy for being awesome. We don't, as a matter of fact. I have Mark's game unless it gets canceled, but enjoy your CR. Oh, no worries. Oh, I had a thought about this. I endeavor to stay awake and ultimately fail. You know what? That is also fair. My sleep schedule is not really a schedule, but more of a suggestion, so I'm up. There was a thing. I wanted to say something really interesting for me. There are many light sources right now, so it's hard to tell. Yeah, I feel like we're going to tell better in like about an hour or so. We'll get a better sense of what's going on. That's fine. So, I was rereading some of... Oh, I didn't tell you, but I'm going to tell you now. Guess what? My new camera that I got for the $1,000 goal, 1,000 follower goal, has come in the mail, and I have it on the table in the kitchen. And I am going to set it up, not tonight, but probably tomorrow or this weekend. But I'm going to set up the new camera. I will probably still be using this camera here for when I'm playing video games, but the big thing is having a better camera for when I'm doing RPGs and need them, like when I'm GMing RPGs and need to oh, this is a little off, and need to use, because I have two cameras, right? I have this one here, which is my built-in camera on the iMac, which is really good, and then I have the Logitech C922, which doesn't make me feel really happy. Anyway, I have this nicer camera. I'm going to set it up over there, and I always use that camera when I'm GMing City of Light and Shadows or Cthulhu Confidential, that sort of a thing, and so we're going to look at having a better camera. Ooh, Beetle wins. CR doesn't start until 4 a.m.? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, will we see an action on Saturday? No, Saturday is usually still this camera. A sleep suggestion. That's how my quarantine is going. Next of kin. I feel really attacked by that statement. Quarantine just makes timing really weird. Really weird. It's yeah, I don't know what to say about that. There was something else I wanted to tell you. Oh my gosh. Wait. New camera, yes. Talk to Jackie Dash. We're just going to work out scheduling at the moment. Every day is Blur's Day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Jackie Dash and I are working out scheduling for... Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. I remember now. Scheduling for Cthulhu Confidential, so all that's good. Guess what? I was just rereading some of... Ron Edwards' theory on RPG stuff, his gamism, simulationism, narrativism stuff, and I was also looking at the threefold model which came before GNS, which was drama, simulation, and game, I think it was. Anyway, yes, there'll be pie and death. Anyway, it's very interesting because of what was I felt uncomfortable by sleep suggested. No, that's fair. That is fair. There's something really interesting about the tripartite model, the threefold model, that I want to say for a moment. But I want to say this thing first because it was really interesting. I was just looking through and it said this thing, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. That's me. And it was just talking about simulationism. I was making this little comment about simulationism and this thing that people who are into simulationism do. And it was just one little sentence. And I was like, called me out. And it was, is sleep suggestion like the serving suggestions on cereal boxes? Yes. No one's going to put strawberries and yogurt in their Cocoa Pops. Yes. They're like, this cereal, Sugar Bomb, is part of a healthy breakfast. And you're like, wait a minute, what's the healthy part? Because I think it's not the Sugar Bomb cereal. I think it's everything else but the Sugar Bomb cereal is all I'm saying. That's all. So it's the preservatives. Yes. So there was this one little sentence, and it was so funny. It was talking about simulationists and what they like, and like what kind of things they want. I think you may have blown Tony's mind with those RPG theories. I might have. He sent me an email saying he wants to chat with me over Zoom, and I've got to send him an email back saying totally because Tony's one of our fellow players, and he was like, wait a minute, I just thought like a good story comes from making a really believable, consistent world, putting people in the world, and then seeing what happens. And I was like, that's simulationism. He's like, yeah, I might just be really simulationist. I don't think I understand how narrative games work. And I was like, yeah, so I'm gonna have to Zoom with him and talk to him about how narrative games work, because if you've never played a narrativist game, they're really different. They're really, really different from what you might have been used to if you've never played that style before. But Rissa has, because she's played Cthulhu Confidential, and Cthulhu Confidential is very much a narrativist game. And like that's one of the reasons why I started jamming it, because I was like, I really want to jam something that's like really strongly narrativist, and so like, you know, we can talk about it. When I shut down my computer yesterday, I forgot I had a Chrome window open with tons of tabs with 1700s references for my pirate RPGs. Oh, Jer, I hate when that happens. I know exactly what that is like, because my Firefox, if I shut it down, it doesn't save my tabs, although Safari does. So Safari has all of the tabs. I do not tend to put tabs on Firefox, but then sometimes I do, like right now. And then if I accidentally shut down Firefox, I lose all those tabs, and then I'm sad. I know it's not your thing really, but I really enjoy being a Call of Conventional PC, at least when you're running. Thank you. Hasty Spider. It's not that narrativism isn't, like, I can do lots of things, do you know what I mean? Like, I can do lots of different things. And I'm always fascinated by, like, yeah, like I enjoy it. There's a little bit about how they do numbers that I would change, but I think they actually changed them for Night's Black Agent Solo Ops, which I'd be interested to see. And it just has to do with making the game a little bit easier to improvise things on the fly. And I think that it'll be a little bit easier to improvise Night's Black Agent solo than it is Cthulhu Confidentials, just simply based on how they sort of run numbers. But that's like a very small detail. But GURPS is my happy place. Hello, Half-Arsed. Yeah, that always feels bad. I lost a Twine horror game I was making because it got hit by Beetlewind. No, my own fault for not saying backup, but it still feels bad. It does. Also, Twine, huh? I've looked into Twine. I'm doing most of my stuff on Ren'Py, but Twine is also very interesting. I've seen some very cool Twine things. So let me tell you this thing that they said that I thought was really funny. Speaking of GURPS, how viral did your tweet become? The one retweet by Kovalik. Viral enough, I suppose. See, Spider, here's the thing I have to tell you, or I'm going to tell all of you, and then I'll get back to this other thing. Do you know what I learned about myself? This is a thing that I've learned about myself, and is it a bad thing? It is just what it is. I'm not going to judge it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you're like, oh, I'm doing this thing, and I'm just not going to judge my behavior. Like, it could be good, it could be bad, it could be a mix of both, it could be neither. Like, why judge it? And the thing is, when I make a tweet, like I've made a couple of tweets, I've got one more post-campaign session with this weekend with my, then my month of GURPS studies begin. Yes, Atomica. Yes. So when one of my tweets go viral and I get a lot of comments, what I found is that I like to answer them all, or at least like them all. I like to respond to all of them, especially if people are slightly critical or have a different perspective and they put them in my thread. Or sometimes people will retweet that thread and make a different comment that's on slightly different, and then I feel like I just need to respond to all of them. And hey, Hooded Ornament. And I was thinking about this because I ended up spending like hours responding to all these tweets. And I know a lot of people will make a tweet that goes viral and just immediately mute it and then not respond at all. And I realized that that's probably better for them because then they're not spending hours on Twitter. Krellin's like, you don't need to respond to them all. But I do need Twitter office hours. But the thing is, I suppose I don't need to respond to all of them, but you know what? I realized as I was sitting there responding to all these tweets and feeling like, why am I doing this? I realized why I do. And this is really interesting because I had a little bit of insight to what I think about Twitter and how people use Twitter, and it's just like an insight that I had about myself. I don't like it when people drop Twitter bombs and then just peace out. Like, I don't like it when it feels like a person is not actually in dialogue with you, when they just sort of put this thing out there and then it's just like, and there's no, you know what I mean? I kind of don't like feeling that way. I don't like reading a tweet and then feeling like the person who tweeted isn't actually interested in having a conversation in any kind of a way. And so I realized that because I don't like feeling that way, that when people respond to me, I feel like I should respond back in sometimes thank them or just whatever the thing might be. Because I realize I don't like the feeling of Twitter where people are just yelling into the void and no one's responding back. And so I realized that I do that. And Scabbynack is like, there's a happy medium between walking away from a Twitter bomb and answering every single tweet. And that is true. And that is what I'm working on. I'm currently working on that balance between too many tweets and too many responses and not enough responses. But I realized that was the reason why I was responding to people's tweets, was because I just I don't like it when people make a tweet that seems like they want to engage, but then they don't want to engage. Like that doesn't make me happy. Atomica says, oh, the worst is big controversial post. Next post, I'm muting this, but here's a link to store buy my stuff. Hey, Hawkeye. Yeah, right? Like, that's kind of like, yeah. So I try to, Hawkeye, how are you? How are you doing? And when is your next wrestling stream? Yeah, so I kind of just don't like it. So I probably over-answer, but that's where that goes. So this is the little comment that I was reading in the Edwards that was really interesting, and I thought that you might. Saturday at 7 p.m. Thank you, Hawkeye. So as you all know, that GURPS is my home, and GURPS is modular, right? Like it's a modular game where there's basically. My tweet went viral, so here's a link to my SoundCloud. It's mostly Creed covers. Yes! That would be amazing. I would love that. You'll have an entrance video. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm so excited. So excited. Yes. So GURPS is modular. So I would say, generally speaking, I don't tend to house rule things in GURPS. And also you often don't need to. Like, I've done a bunch of things in Fate, but a lot of them are actually, I mean, it's modular, so it's fine. I have a couple of house rules that I've sort of pulled together, but generally speaking, what is this GURPS you're talking about? It sounds interesting. Tell me more. But like, I don't tend to house rule GURPS. Often you don't have to, because they just give you lots of options. But there are 2 house rules that I have that I know that I consistently use all the time. One of which is purely ease of use. Hey, Grinny. Yeah, I'm like, there I was. There are many stories in the city, but this one is mine. It's my noir lighting. Yeah, GURPS is all house rules, right? But I have 2 things that I actually think are house rules. And one I'm only doing because it's actually more convenient, and that one is an Atomica, you may want to know. It's about the slam rules. Technically in GURPS, you're supposed to calculate what slam damage is based on how many yards the player moves. So like, if I slam you and I've only moved 1 yard, it's going to be less damage than if I slam you but I moved 5 yards first. Like, so there's actually a how much slam damage you do is variable based on how far you've moved. But it's not that variable. And so this one house rule is just totally convenience. For me, it's fine, is that I basically calculate what a person's slam damage is before we start the game based on their full movement. And we just use that. It's just a little bit faster, then we don't have to calculate slam damage in the game proper. And it's fine, right? So it's like, for me, the difference between like 1 and 5 yards is really not that big. If a person had like 10 yards, especially since by the cutoffs, it's not, we're usually talking about like 1 point of damage, so it's not that big of a deal. If a person had 10 yards of movement, average yards of movement is 5. If you're particularly fast, you might have 6. If you're slow, you might have 4, or you're encumbered. But like, I find that difference is really not so much to make that big of a deal. So I just calculate slam damage before we start the game, and it's just faster in play. It's like, it's a pretty minor house rule, right? But there's this other house, and that one is purely just ease of play. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, that's ease of play, it's fine, it's very minor. I want to do a Space Noir episode sometime. Yes. 200 hours on the station that never sleeps. The door slides open and she walks in. Her legs up to there. Yes, all 8 of them. Yes. I'll be honest with you, Trooper. As an ex-pro wrestler who's taken some serious spears, a running start makes a difference. Yeah, that's why I just give you the running start I just, it's just faster in play. But, hey, PH. But there is this one house rule that I have, and it's the only one that I have that I really feel like is particular to me and really house rule-y. Like, it feels like a house rule, and I always think about it, and it's one of the rules that when I tell people that this is how I do it, if you don't know GURPS and I tell you how I do it, you're not going to think anything of it. You're just going to accept what I just said and move on. If you know GURPS, well, you might be like, hey, what? You're not doing it this way. What's up with that? Like, so this is like the one moment this one thing that I do. And what was hilarious to me is that in Ron Edwards' essay on gamism, Hawkeye will tell you, gamism, narrativism, and simulationism, he said this one comment. He said, there is this one thing that simulationists don't like. And for example, in GURPS, it does this thing, and a simulationist won't like it and will do either this or this. And I was like, oh no, this is the exact one house rule that I have is the exact same thing he called out. Like, it was the weirdest, like, because honestly, GURPS has like so many options, so many things to pick out the one thing that is the one thing that bugs me, and to say that it will bug you because you're really simulationist, and then you'll do one of these two things. And I was like, oh, wow. So, hey, Takarosh. So let me tell you what the thing is. And let me tell you what the thing is and what he said it, because it's just like this small little detail that it's kind of a trip that he just picked up on the one thing that is like my one bug. So in GURPS, GURPS Hawkeye is the generic universal role-playing system. It came out in like 86, 87, 88. 88 was the third edition. And is your house rule one of the two things? Basically, yeah. He says that when he goes away when you say computer in program. And Krillin, basically the things that he said that people will do is basically what I did, more or less, basically. And I was like, oh. So Hawkeye, it's a one of the older school games, right? It came out in the third edition, which is the one that everybody played. Came out in 1988, and it along with Hero were really big. I think that the Fantasy Trip, which was before GURPS, which was basically came out of it, was one of the first point buy system RPGs. So that rather than rolling, you actually use points to buy what you want. It was like one of the first ones that did that, if not the first. And so it's a game with no levels, no classes. It's all point buy. They're just lists of skills and advantages and disadvantages, and you sort of just build the character you want. It's also, it stands for Generic Universal Role-Playing System. So it is built so that you can play in the Ice Age or in the far future. You can play with magic or without magic, with psionics or without psionics. You can play high-powered or low-powered. You can play, like, you can sort of build through different modules what kind of game and what kind of setting you want. You can play, Old West. You can play fantasy. You can play whatever. It's all... Wait, the 88 version is the... No, there's one more. The newest version was the 4th edition, which came out in like 2004, maybe? Yeah, so basically, GURPS does not do new editions often. They did, the first two editions came really fast on each other, and then the third edition lasted from 88 to like 2004. And then, like, I think it was around 2004 they came out with the 4th edition, and we're still on the 4th edition. And the 4th edition is backwards compatible, so you can use 3rd edition stuff with 4th edition. And I know that other systems will do new editions much more frequently in order to generate buzz and make people remember about them, but they just sort of don't. And that is just sort of life. And it's a really solid system. And the differences between 3rd and 4th are not huge. I mean, I think they feel very different. They're like conceptually a little bit different, but they're very similar. Other systems that will not be named. You know what? You could name a lot of systems and it would work. So it's this particular system, and as a system, it's what many people will call simulationist in that it tries to model a kind of reality. So there's like, it really pays attention to the physics. It tries to make things sort of make sense in the world, which means it's often very easy to improvise things because you can kind of benchmark things, like paranoia. And I love the combat options. There are many things that I love about it, and there's one thing that I don't love. Just one thing, and it is this. So the way that GURPS combat works is you have a skill, it's 3d6, nice bell curve, roll under. If you want to attack someone, you roll your skill against your skill. And you might have penalties or bonuses. We do not mention from another time, another land. Fatal. And if you make your roll, you roll well enough to hit. Then your opponent rolls a... actually, The Witcher is actually a little bit different. The Witcher, you roll attack, they roll defense, and whoever beats the other person wins is how that goes. And GURPS is actually different, wherein my attack and your defense are not connected. So I roll my attack roll. If I succeed, you can choose to roll a defense roll. Not always. Sometimes you can't because I hit you from behind. But you can roll your defense roll. If you make your defense roll, then that's it, right? So I roll well enough to hit, but you parry, we're done. And if, however, your defense roll is not successful, then I roll damage, right? So it's like attack, defend, damage. It's 500 parry and dodge as well. Yeah, right. And I have gotten... it's so weird. When I moved from D&D to GURPS, and all of a sudden I had a defense roll, like I never wanted to give it up. But the thing about GURPS is that it has hit location rules. You can aim for parts of the body like you can in The Witcher or various things. And each different body part will give you a penalty. The torso center mass is no penalty. Arms and legs are -2, hands and feet are -4, the head is -5. The back of the head is -7 because it's the back of your head. Neck is neck, head -5. Eyes are like -8. Right. So like, vitals are -3. So that's like your general. Warhammer's hit location. I remember it from the short Witcher campaign we played. That was interesting. And in GURPS, the different hit locations you can cripple a limb, or you can cut off a limb, and maybe somebody's not wearing. And because armor is actually, you can buy armor by pieces. Like you could have like a helmet on, and like a chest plate, but no arms or legs if you didn't want, or you might have like a heavy metal. You could be wearing like a breastplate that's made of metal, but just wearing leather on your legs, like, because I don't know what you have for money. So like maybe you want to target somebody's leg because that's a little bit easier. Like, you have your choices. Can your PCs lose limbs? Oh, yes, they can. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And the limbs can be crippled or crushed or cut off. There's all sorts of different ways in which that can happen. Reminds me of Deadlands with a random hit location table where you could hit then miss because the limb was blown off, usually to tentacles. So here's the thing, and this is where the simulationist thing that Ron Edwards pointed out comes into effect. There is a rule in there. So hit location, you can choose your hit location, right? You're like, I want this hit location, I want that hit location. There are rules in GURPS for random hit locations. And generally speaking, there are times when random hit locations are mandated. Shrapnel, to find out where the piece of shrapnel hits you roll random hit location. If the PC is doing what's called a wild hit, like basically they cannot see where they're aiming, they honestly just can't see what's going on, it's also a wild hit location. So like there are a couple of spaces where it is mandated, but there is an option in GURPS, which is part of the rules, wherein you roll to hit. If you are successful and the person does not defend, then you can roll a random hit location and see what location you get. And I hate that. Hey, Nino Gaming, like I hate the idea that you as a player in a combat facing another person 1-to-1 can just roll a random hit location and then basically get the benefit of going for the hand without getting the penalty. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I heard one guy got a GM ruling against him saying he could not make someone Jewish with a called shot. Sorry, I know it's in bad taste. So like I don't like it. And here's the thing: I was just looking through the Ron Edwards again, and Ron Edwards says simulationists don't like random hit locations. Like in GURPS, there's this random hit, GURPS and I think Hero, there's a random hit location thing where you roll a random hit location after you rolled a hit, and simulationists don't like that, and they will usually just ignore the hit location rules completely or do this other thing. And I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly like, oh no, that's the one house rule that I make. And my one house rule is you do not get to choose to roll randomly after you roll. The random hit location is only for actual random hits. It's for, shrapnel, swinging in the dark, wild swings. Only when it actually is a wild random hit can you roll in the random hit location. Otherwise, it's center mass unless you say otherwise. Like that's like, because I just don't like it. Like I just don't. It does because it breaks my simulation. It doesn't feel realistic to me. So I just I don't have it. Yeah, it got incredibly frustrating when fighting zombies because you had to headshot them, but then the hit table would never give you a headshot. Oh yeah, no, we're just not going to do that. And what you call what you do is a non-called shot is a body shot. Yeah, that's exactly right. A non-called shot is just a body shot. So that's what I do, right? And why do not simulationists like random hit location? Yeah, so like it makes sense to me, right? And for me, it takes more. For me, it's not about the extra time. It's about. I feel like random hit location rolls should come first, not after the hit defend rolls. Yeah, but the thing is, I get why you would come afterwards. And partly it's to sort of get around that penalty, like I get it, but for me, if we are fighting and I am looking at you and looking at me, that kind of super random hit where like, okay, and now I punch your foot, like that just doesn't work for me. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't work for me that we are actually squaring up. Like when we're actually, when I was doing bayonet fighting in the army, never did it never happened I hit somebody's foot when I was actually fighting them on purpose, or all my time fencing. Like that just never happened. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like generally speaking, if anything, you kind of default to center mass. And so, yeah, so for shrapnel, I'm totally fine with random hit locations, and I do random hit locations for shrapnel all the time. Now that I'm or do a triple, I should go for the foot. Never see it coming. What about while dancing? Well, dancing's a little bit different, right? That would be different. A pressure point fighter, I never went for random points. Wait, this is all I'm saying. Like you just, that's not. Especially with military training, you're not random flailing in combat. If you're not aiming for something else, you're aiming for the center of mass. Yeah. And so I do use random hit locations, but I only use them when it actually makes sense that something would be random. And then I'll use them. But otherwise, it's just body shots unless you call otherwise. And it was so weird that was the one thing that Ron Edwards was like, oh yeah, simulationist, they don't like this one little detail that happens, like, for example, in GURPS or Hero, and generally they're going to just do these two things to stop it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's okay. And it was weird. It was weird. It was really weird to me to have that one weird little detail be the one thing that he called out. And I was like, well, yeah, yeah. And it was also really interesting about I'm going to do a video on Ron Edwards' different theories and also the theories that came before. Like it's because there was some interesting stuff there. And he talked about what it is when a person who tends to like one style or the other tends to complain about a game, what it is they tend to complain. And this was about this was part of his big essay that was actually quite short, the one that came before the GNS one, where he introduces his version of GNS, which was called System Does Matter. And his basic argument was that that you need to match the system with the kind of style of game that you're going for. And when he talks about system, he talks about how do you resolve conflict. Hold on, let me see. Because I thought it was actually very interesting. It's very short. It's pretty good. It was also very controversial. Let me see if I can find it. So Ron Edwards was a game designer who basically was one of the people that started and spurred on the modern indie game. In like the late 90s, a bunch of people were hanging out on Usenet sort of talking about game theory, and he built he was like the main editor for a new web page, web community forums called The Forge, and a bunch of these game designers were all hanging out on The Forge, and they were all really interested in a new style of game of which there weren't very many at the time, which they called narrativism, which focused on story above everything else. And out of this community came Burning Wheel by Luke Crane. So Luke Crane was part of this community. He did Burning Wheel and then Mouse Guard, and the guy that did Dogs in the Vineyard. In some ways, Powered by the Apocalypse, you can trace its lineage. Like a lot of things that we think about as sort of like modern sort of indie games have their roots in The Forge. And he was... In Rogue Trader, we normally resolve conflict through judicious use of planetary bombardment, and it was like This was like a really big deal, through the 2000s. It kind of changed everything, and we're sort of now living in the aftermath of that. And so for him, he thinks you should sort of think about whether or not you want your game to focus on challenge, system, or story, like what it is you're doing, right? And he sort of thinks about it. He says, this is his definition, and this is in the first essay, which is much shorter. He says, gamist. This player is satisfied if the system includes a contest which he or she has a chance to win. Usually this means the character versus NPC opponents, but gamists also include the system breaker and the dominator type role player. RPGs well suited to gamists include Rifts and Shadowrun. Narrativist. This player is satisfied if a role-playing session results in a good story. RPGs for narrativists include Over the Edge, Prince Valiant, The Whispering Vault, and Everway. I need to pick up Everway. Simulationist, the player is satisfied if the system creates a little pocket universe without fudging. Simulationists include the well-known subtype of realist. Good games for simulationists include GURPS and Pendragon, which I need to go and sort of do more Pendragon. And what was interesting is then he talks about how to do resolution, and he has these 3 different resolution methods, which I thought were very interesting to think about. And this is sort of related to Everway. Fortune, meaning a range of results is possible for each instance. I rolled a 10 on 3 dice. Under my skill of 12, I hit. Most RPG systems are primarily fortune-based for historical reasons, including dice, cards, and all sorts of other things. But then there's karma, which compares 2 fixed values. I have a 7 in fencing, you have a 4, I win. Amber is one of the few mainly karma games. And then drama, in which the GM or rarely the player resolves the outcome by just saying what happens. Uscurum says the GM without rolling or consulting any numbers of any hands. And then sort of talking about how you sort of deal with those methods, what things work well together for your goals. And they were saying, like, do the systems, do they work for what you're going for? Where was the thing about bogging down? It was so good. And it was about what a person is likely to say. Here we go. I thought this was nachos. Oh, I love nachos. This I thought was really interesting. It says, I certainly can't dictate how much, in terms of like what you're doing with your systems, is too little or too much. But I do claim, he says, that if they are not appropriate for the player outlook of the game, here's about how much system you have. Gamist, narrativist, simulationist. Players will complain, rightly, that the system, and this is the complaint. So he's like, if you do not match the system with the player outlook, the players will complain, and he thinks that it's fair for them to complain. And he says, and this is how he typifies what each outlook will complain. I thought this was interesting. He says the narratist will bog down, will complain that the system bogs down. The gamist will complain that the system is unfair, and the simulationist will complain that it isn't realistic or accurate. And I thought that was interesting, right? So that like, and it's funny because I know a lot of narratists, people who sort of think themselves of narratists, and one of the big complaints they have of games is the game bogs down. They're like, it bogs down, I don't like it. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's too slow, it bogs things down. And it's interesting that is the thing that he sort of points to, and he is a narrativist, as what it is that narratives will often complain about a game. Like, it'll bog down. Or, right, and the game is that it's unfair, and the simulation is that it isn't accurate or isn't... and like in PH is like, oh yeah, I do have that complaint, right? So like, and I think it's interesting that like people now will say, oh, GNS, right? And simulationists do complain about realism or accuracy, whatever is more appropriate. And what's interesting to me is that people now are sort of, I think a bunch of narrative indie folks are kind of like, oh, like we don't care about Edwards, right? And people who are not indie folks never really liked Edwards because they thought he was critiquing them, which he sort of was, which is fine. But I think he's a lot of really interesting insights, and I find them quite interesting to think about. Like, it's always bothered me that I can't outright kill an NPC with an arrow. That thing happens. For example, yes. Like, I know people are like, no, why can't I do that? That doesn't make any sense, right? That's not, like, it's not accurate that I can't do that. I should be able to do that. Shavai says, depending on the system, I can realistically see myself using all three of those complaints, to be honest, but I would place myself as a mix in that system anyway. Yeah. One other thing, and we'll talk more about it. We're going to play this game, but what I thought was really interesting, I should say this, and this is fascinating, because when he said, one of the reasons why he wrote this is because he was trying to intervene in debates that were happening at the time, and there were a bunch of different debates. And one of what he says here is, perhaps the ongoing debate about system light versus system heavy is a waste of time. A system is not automatically good if it's more or less complex than another. The degree of acceptable complexity comes from the game's outlook and should be judged in that context only. A simulationist, fortune-based game almost has to be complex. A narrative, karma-based game is most satisfying with a simpler system. And I thought, and that is actually a really nice statement. I think that's like a really nice statement because he's not saying, as a narrativist, he's not saying that games shouldn't be crunchy. He's saying that how much crunch your game has should match what the game is doing. And if you want your game to be very, very narrativist, it really shouldn't be that crunchy. But if you're doing this, then it might be more like you need to have the amount of system that matches with what you're trying to do. And that if you're trying to do a game that is like really gamist and really like all detailed, and your system is not, if your system is too light, people might not feel it satisfying if that's what they want, a different thing, and vice versa. And I was like, I feel like D&D, like in D&D, I feel that the game gets bogged down in combat. Ooh, I always feel that somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Welcome in, Taco Trash Can. First off, I love tacos, so that's always a happy thing for me. Welcome in. Hey, Abalek, how are you? I feel like that the game gets bogged down in combat, D&D. It takes far too long to win a fight. I feel like it should be fast and lethal. Oh, Beetle wins. That's really interesting that you feel like it should be fast and lethal. I want to sort of come back to this thought because it's really fascinating, but I want to see what other people said. Verum agrees with you. Hawkeye says you just have to adjust your mindset going into it. And I think that's fair. And some people can. Some people are super good adjusting their mindset. Like when I go into a really narrative, like when I go into Good Society, I can play that and have a great time. I just have to adjust my mindset. So like I really think that, and being able to do that, I think is very good. Javai says, thinking about it, I can even see myself using all of them in the same system depending on the scenarios involved in the specific moment. You just have to watch out though, because some of your players may not want all that different stuff. Do you know what I mean? Varum says, I'm always fussing about battling taking too much time. I still skip over the fighting parts when I'm watching a show. Oh, interesting. Taco says, oh, I find that maybe they have a lack of imagination. Definitely a story-driven person, but I can see everything in my head. As long as I have character growth, I'm good. But then also, like, how do you want to imagine character growth? Are there different ways of doing character growth? And that becomes really interesting. So he advocates a holistic approach to game design. Hey, Abalek. D&D combat can be slow, though shockingly, there are even slower systems. Hey, a paladin. So I would say that most of D&D, since it's played by more casual players, the Shadowrun is mostly a herding cats. The slowdown is mostly a herding cats issue. That's actually really interesting, Atomica. That's a very interesting comment. Abalek says, I'm good. I'm waiting on someone to answer a tweet I sent at them a few days ago since your DMs are on lockdown. Oh. Did you send me... You sent me a tweet. Abalek, are you on my Discord? If you're on my Discord, just DM me in Discord. Yeah, oh, Abalek. Here, this is you. Right? Wait, there was a thing. I have to find it. I have to find what it is. If it's on the Twitter, I have to find it and see it. I don't think so. I have like 100 Discords. That's fair. I'll have to see if I can. I'll see if I can find it. I will see where it was and see if I can find it. I will look for it. Let's see. Where were we? Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I was to run a game, I would make sure to have everything be consistent, right? And there's sometimes that, like, a lot of times it doesn't necessarily matter, but there's certain moments where it sort of like sticks. D&D feels more traditional in that its aim is simulating epic fight scenes and battles as part of a grander story. And sometimes not that epic depending on what level you are. It kind of depends on what level you are. I think it's about trying to sort of make like fair battles. Massive narrative can be a drag for me due to HD and focus issues, but I just take it on as a practice to keep overcoming. Right, and like some people don't want the massive narrative because it's too much. Kind of like some people don't like conspiracy games. Hey, Chromatic. Hi there. I would love to see more games that directly reward character change development as you would combat. Directly reward character change development. Chromatic, there are a lot of games that do that. There's so many games that directly reward character change development. I mean, lots. I mean, I can think of a lot of them that basically, I mean, let me put it more accurately. I can think of few games that mostly reward combat, right? Most of the games I can think of are based on other things. I summon monsters, they each roll, then my animal companion rolls. Oh, and I have a familiar, it rolls too. Done, now it's my own turn. Yeah. But some people really, really like that. So will there be a Wandersong tonight? No, there's totally gonna be a Wandersong. We're totally gonna be there. Yeah, join me in Discord and DM me, and so then I know. Just join me in Discord, and then you can like ignore the Discord and hide it. It's your turn. Please turn off your phone. Yes, it's a D20. Fine. We can stop looking at that spell. You just had to I'm a lot more patient if I know we have someone new at the table. Let me not know what the style is they like. Yeah. I think what's interesting is that I've had casual players who've played for years and they still know how to tie their own shoes in game terms. And I will note that that's not dependent on how complicated or not complicated the game is. I know people who play Powered by the Apocalypse and still don't really know how it works. Some people are just not into knowing the rules. So what I think is interesting about thinking about combat speed, how long to take it, what you want, like what is the point of combat Do you know what I mean? Like, if the point of combat is to just be part of the story, you can do like Cthulhu Confidential and just have one roll, right? Like, there's just one roll. The player rolls, they see how well they do in combat, and then we move on. And then, because the combat's actually not important, it's just the story that's important, so you don't need to deal with it. Some players want really good tactical combat that might take some time, that you like really dig into it, but they might want it to be epic or realistic or lethal or not lethal. Some people, like I know Vampire 5e, combat is limited to 3 rounds, I believe. Like, it's just 3 rounds of combat and then you're done. So like there are a lot of different ways to sort of ponder how you want, what is satisfying for you in combat. And it's interesting to think about it. So for example, I'm actually okay with super long combats if the combat systems are interesting enough to me, if I feel like I have meaningful choices to make in that combat. If I have actual choices to make that can tell me something about my character and that means something, and if I feel like the stakes are really present, then I'm actually fine with longer combats. But some combats are long, but they don't do those things, and I'm less excited. Taco says, I find that character growth depends on the character and the group you're in. Right now I'm playing a lot of 2 characters that are developing in different ways. One character is stuck between peace and violence and does not have a story reason to shift to one way or the other. Yeah, that's really interesting. Oh, one role would be heaven for you. Virum, there are systems where you can do that. I would say, so Cthulhu Confidential is a solo game, just one roll for combat, that's it. What else? I feel like in some of the Powered by the Apocalypse games, combat would also maybe just be one roll. Sort of depends. There are a couple of systems where I think you can do where there's either no roll at all or just maybe one roll. There are combat systems that you can do that in that might be up your alley. Shavai says, I tend to know systems pretty well, but I'm also really unsure on details in the moment, so I tend to take a bit of time to make moves to double check everything to make sure I get it right, which I am almost always, but I still doubt myself. Yeah, Origami says, if it's on roll 20, I don't need to know how it works. I just need to know which button to push on the character sheet unless I'm GMing. Right, and that's actually really interesting, right? That's actually really interesting because playing with roll 20 gives you a very different relationship to the system than others, and sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. I think it might depend on player empowerment and if they want that empowerment. For example, there are some really cool things you can do with Fate if you know the rules. Like, Fate is really rules light, but there are really cool things you can do if you know the rules. If you don't pay attention, you may not actually have the opportunity to see some of these very cool things you can do, but like maybe you don't want to, and it's fine. If the combat isn't just HP management, which we can get there as well. Beetlewind says, I think that might be my issue with D&D combat. I don't find it particularly interesting. Yeah. There seem to be very few consequences in the fight between active and dead. Yes. In Mass, there are nothing that tells you that you win the combat, so it's up to you in the GM. It could be one roll. Right, like a lot of the PBTA games, there are very easily all of your combat could be just one roll. And that one roll is just rolled by the player and not the GM, right? So like in that, because in Powered by the Apocalypse, the GM doesn't roll. So like in Night Witches, there's a whole thing for airplane combat, but that's different. But like if you decided to get into a fist fight with somebody or to shoot somebody, you would just make your move that says like do something risky, and then you would roll it, and then you would either get a full success or a partial success, or you would fail, and then we would just decide what that looks like. You're like, oh, well, you were getting into a fist fight with this person, and you got a total success, so you win. Talk about it. Or with a partial success, we could talk about whether or not you win but take some damage, or whether or not you lose but look really good. We could decide together as a group what that might mean for you to have a partial success in your fist fight with somebody. And then if you lose, then we could say then you lose that fist fight, and that's just one roll. I'm gonna sing this, but I'm gonna sing this first. Come on, everybody. I say, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an N will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Crit twitch, crit twitch, bo bit twitch, banana, fanner, fo pitch twitch, fee, fi, mo mit twitch. Quit twitch. Crit twitch. Yes. Yes. So yeah, I mean, Powered by the Apocalypse, often you can do one roll. Taco says, I feel like for that character in an extreme situation will have to take place in order for her to make a choice. The other characters has already had her extreme situation happen, and so she's actively changing. Also, sorry for the typos and grammar mistakes on mobile. Oh, don't worry, mobile can be a whole thing. I'm in for honey baked shenanigans, just saying. Also, no game playing. Was going to time this, but I have to go. Game. Trooper, can we look back at like an hour to where the guy said Shadowrun was a game of system? Yeah. This is a question. What do we think about that? The idea that Shadowrun is gamist is just ludicrous. Shadowrun is literally zero tool to make sure the game challenge opposition is at all fair. Yeah, and now this was written in 2001, so we might have to sort of ponder what 2001 Shadowrun was like. But Shadowrun doesn't feel gamist to me. It feels simulationist to me. So I don't know, right? I mean, like he thinks about, yeah, that's that, like, I mean, it was like that ad, you know the one, I do know the one. Shadowrun does encourage competition, but it's an unfair competition. Shadowrun's a simulation system designed for power gamers. I think that's a fairer way to read it, Krellin. I agree with you. Yes. So, going back to combat for a moment, and this is interesting, and I think it wasn't you, Taco. It was Atomica? No. It was, who was saying this? Javai, maybe. Maybe it was Javai? Maybe. And this is like a thing about Outlook, right? Sort of Outlook in this moment. One of the things that always frustrated me about D&D combat was not that it was long. It was that it's the way that the combat works isn't simulationist, it's gamist, and it's also not narrativist. It's really a gamist way of doing combat. Oh, Taco, go.
Somebody's watching me.
I always feel that somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Thank you for the follow, Pliant Reality. We're playing Wandersong, but we're having a little bit of our RPG, TTRPG theory a little bit before we actually start the game, which we're gonna sort of jump right in. Enjoy your evening, Taco. No, I was just talking about the way, like, for me, one of the reasons why, like, there are things about D&D that I like, but D&D combat was always not satisfying for me because fundamentally it's a gamist combat setup, and I like my combat more simulationist, and it does. D&D also works system mastery as well as the whole martial caster divide. Oh, it really does. But so I think here are things that make about D&D combat that pushes against my simulationist outlook, and that is buckets of hit points. That the more levels you get, the more hit points you have, and that works against my sense of realism. And people will say, oh, but it's really just your luck, or it's your endurance, your stamina. It's just like, it's a bunch of like these things that are sort of intangible. Is like, they're not real hit points. You really only have 5 hit points. The other 100 are just like this metaphysical thing that somehow you get back with a healing potion. And gamist people, gamist system is, to sort of quote the really short thing, A gamist player is satisfied if the system includes a contest which he or she has a chance to win. This usually means character versus NPC opponents, but gamists also include System Breaker and the Dominator type role player. Gamist systems tend to be about fairness and balance, right? So if you're going to have conflicts, like they should be sort of balanced so that it's a fair challenge that you can then win. Although actually I think modern D&D is a little bit skewed towards the players. There's been a slight power shift from old D&D to modern D&D where it's a little bit skewed towards the players in their favor. Yeah, basically they're looking for a challenge. It's a bit more the but you know what, I will say this, it's even not in wargaming, another thing that is really gamist to do, yeah, Javon's like, I would be fine with HP being a much wider thing if it was treated that way consistently, which it seems to never have been. Another thing that is actually really quite gamist, which has nothing to do with combat, and this is like an interesting thing, is that a lot of gamist games are about challenging the player, not necessarily the PC. So having puzzles that the player must solve is often very gamist, right? So that like me as the player must solve the puzzle in order to succeed in game. That's actually a very gamist thing to do, where you actually give the players puzzles. The players are getting challenges, and the player themselves wants to win the challenge. And so the player will. So like there's a good gamist game is about challenging the player, not necessarily the character. And then the player overcomes challenges with their character. Plant Reality says, there's a really interesting exploitation being made in war games that aren't gamist and are in fact malicious. Yeah, like Kriegspiel, the original war game for the, yeah, that's really interesting, right? Like I think that's really, really interesting. Totally Plant Reality, yes. And I also think what's interesting about it, and if in a gamist mindset it's about the player overcoming challenges, you can see why, for example, like it makes sense that D&D is like your classic gamist game, although you could play it in a different way. Like you can play D&D in a different way, it's just the systems are sort of built that way. So for example, somebody earlier said that D&D, iShield said that D&D rewards system mastery, and that is actually also a part of gamism, right? That, like, I mean, I don't know if you, like, I'm sure you've had those friends of yours who are D&D people who love D&D, for whom it's like really fun. And what part of the fun is that they, as people, as players, not as characters, get to decide like what is the best combination. Like, oh, if I play a tiefling and then I actually use, and I'm gonna do this, if I'm like a paladin, I can maybe put together this paladin, but I should probably take this oath. But then what if I actually do like 2 levels of thief, right? This whole, there's like, that's actually about rewarding the player's skill in this system mastery, right? And that's actually very gamist. Like the ability for that player to be better if they know the system better, like, and that's like an out of character meta thing. It's about challenging the player's skill, and they're players who then come up with this like weird freaky combination that's amazing, and they feel great about it. Like they feel like they personally have done some really great things. So like gamism sort of can be about fair combat challenges, it can be about puzzles, it can be about the ability for the player to show off their system mastery and that being important. There are games that don't want system mastery to be a factor in whether or not your character succeeds, and those don't tend to be gamist games, is what I would say. Krellin says, yeah, D&D combat is set up to make sure that your scores and use of abilities matters more than pure dice. There's a lot of room to make mistakes or have dice mess with you, but you don't get defeated by a single dice roll, nor do you win with one. And that's, Krellin, that's really true. And the more you get, the more hit points you get, the less likely it is that just one hit's going to take you out. I mean, low level, there's some things going on. Right, it does try to make it it tries to make it a contest that you as a player can try to figure out how to, win. Yeah, I've never seen hit points as a health bar, so this is better. Games, yeah. D&D is Sephiroth blowing up the entire planet in that one attack, and then Cloud takes 6 damage. Yeah. Yes, and as Adam would say, your game, say you're in the game until 0, nothing happens until 0. Mm-hmm. Yes. I feel that way with HP, like Princess Bride. The duel between Reality and Inigo, I always felt like they were losing all kinds of HP with their fighting, even though they aren't drawing blood. And for me, as a simulationist, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, it's not satisfying to me. Crone's like, 5e is a lot skewed towards the players. The puzzles are fun. It has something to do with the story, then I like them. And sometimes the games, the puzzles don't have anything to do with the story, but the players just like puzzles, right? War games can be simulationists, but the way, especially modern ones, are set up to make sure the sides are fair, point by armies, etc. Yeah. But those routes are usually more simulationist because they're recreating historical battles. That's true. And historical battles are very even. My husband was known among our friends as a min-maxer. Yeah. Gaming the system. Yeah, and the thing is, gaming the system, says this is Hawkeye, is not necessarily bad. Like, sometimes the people really enjoy that. Like, I had a bunch of D&D 3.5 friends who really loved, and actually, here's something that's really interesting, and you can tell me what you think about this. My this one gaming group I was in was like a big D&D group. They were really into 3.5. They loved 3.5. They loved it, and they had like all the system mastery, all the books. They were into it. They didn't like 4E. And I would say not because 4E was trying to be an MMO, but because their system mastery didn't let them do as much as they wanted. Like, their own personal skill as system masters was not as rewarded in 4E, and they didn't like that. Really, it was what it comes down to. And so, you know, they were going to go to Pathfinder, and then I got them playing some other games. But, you know, so that was interesting, right? And like, and that's not a bad thing. I actually don't think that 4E is a bad game, but if what you want is to be able to reward system mastery because that's what's valuable to you, then 4E might be a little bit less satisfying in that way. Plant Reality says, well, I think fundamentally part of the simulation of games like Kriegspiel is how little players knew of the system. Yes. They were presented troop dispositions without access mechanics, which resolved clashes. Yeah, I think that's true. There were no knobs and dials and levers for a player to manipulate, only diegetic information. Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think that's also really interesting. Sea Spider says, well, I love making characters the way they are not supposed to be done and then make them work-ish. Some systems encourage gaming the system like Shadowrun. Yeah. And 4E wasn't set up in a way that would allow them to reestablish system mastery to dominate either, so it wasn't just sunk cost. They couldn't regain the same mastery either. So I can understand why some people were not happy with 4E, but that just because it wasn't doing the same thing. So one of the reasons why I like GURPS combat is because you don't gain hit points. Like, you basically have 10 hit points and that's what you got. Like, you can buy more or less, but you never end up with 11. Those hit points represent your health bar, like your actual health bar. And there are other states between being okay and being dead, right? There's there's stun. They have a stun state. They have shock. There's stun. There's shock. If you have only 1/3 of your hit points left, all of a sudden your movement and speed are dropped, which will then impact your ability to dodge, because you're like 1/3 of hit points is not a great place to be in. Shock is not great. Like, there are all these things that happen in GURP combat, which I will note is more detail. So it's not like I want less detail, but the detail that I get in GURPS makes me feel like there's something other than a binary system of up or down. And so that makes me, like, you can knock people unconscious. I remember being so frustrated in D&D 1E. Most fighters have 12 to 14 hit points. That's fair. Most fighters have 12 to 14 hit points. But like, and also I recommend that they do. I really recommend, if you're gonna play a fighter, that you have 12 to 14 hit points. That is my tip from me to you, also from Krellin. But like, you know, again, like 12 to 14 hit points. And you're not, like, that's about where you're going to be. And you can easily be killed if somebody shoots you with a machine gun a whole bunch of times. Like, that could be very bad for you. And that feels good to me. But also, there are all these states. If you get hit for 1 hit point of damage, you are at -1 to your rolls for the next second because you have a little bit of shock. If you take too big of a hit in one go, you're stunned a little bit. Like, because it's really, if somebody slashes you with a big sword, that, like, if you have 14 hit points and somebody does like 7 hit point damage to you, that's gonna mess you up a little bit. You'll have to recover from that. So maybe you have to be a little bit defensive. If you have only a few hit points left, that's no great for you. Once you hit 0, now you might be falling unconscious. So there are all these different states between well and not well. And Unless you have the advantage that negates the wound penalty, yeah, but you have to pay for that. And so for me, that gives me multiple states, which makes the combat more interesting to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, so like for me, that's really interesting. Some people don't like it at all. That's not what they want. It doesn't feel like, and they're interesting. Like when I'm really fascinated, because I listen when like, especially D&D players hate GURPS when people do what they say they dislike about it. What people who are like into story games say they don't like about GURPS is very different from what D&D people will say they dislike about GURPS, and I find it really fascinating to see what they don't like about GURPS, and that is always it tells me something about what I like and what they don't like, and I'm interested in it. You can have 45 HP max if you rolled real well. Of course, in D&D, you don't roll. I always appreciate that about GURPS from a narrative perspective. And you know what's really interesting, Verum, is that you can play, like GURPS at its core is a simulationist system, but you can play it more narratively. There are some tweaks that you can do that will let you play GURPS more narratively if you were interested in it. One of the things that you can do, which I don't think I've necessarily implemented it in one of my games, but I totally would if I were going to run something that I wanted that feeling for, I would do it, is that you can buy successes with your character points, right? So there's a system that they call them, like how a lot of narrative games will have like fortune points or fate points or things like that. There is an optional rule in GURPS that will allow you to buy success with your character points. So then you as a player have to decide, this character point that I could use later, you can use there are a couple things you can use character points for that will give you like a narrativist feel for GURPS. One, you can buy successes if you want, or you can use there's an option to use a point to get rid of damage, like to sort of negate damage from one blow. Like it's like just a flesh wound, I think is what it's called. It's like a rule for that. So there are these things that you can do to sort of give it a more narrativist feeling if you want. So like there are ways to do it. Right, it's option. Yeah, that's what I like. Being hit in the chest with a warhammer should do something tangible, but some people don't want that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm okay with them not wanting it. Like that's okay with me. I should really try GURPS one of these days. I've read some of their source books without playing the actual. Their source books are very, very good. So here's one of the things I want to say, that some of the things that people don't like about GURPS that are D&D players. Not all D&D players, some of them like it and it's great. And I think this is really fascinating. And it has to do with the fact that D&D is pretty epic, actually. And the way that D&D sort of structures things is really interesting. And so one of the complaints when we think about GURPS combat, and that I think that says a lot about how GURPS works. And also, I should probably I'm not giving up on Wandersong yet, but okay, so in D&D, combat is what? 10 seconds, is that right? 5 seconds? 10 seconds? 6 seconds? 30 seconds? 5 seconds. 5 seconds. 6 seconds. 6 seconds, thank you. It's 6 seconds. And 6 seconds in a round. And in one round in D&D, you can move, you can attack. In more modern D&D, you can also do a minor action, right? So you can move, attack, do a minor action. And when you get to 8 seconds, sell. So you can actually do a lot in one round, combat round. And there are a bunch of things that are free actions, including reloading, right? So like you can fire a bow, reload, like you can fire a bow multiple times in a round. Yeah, and GURPS does not do that. GURPS does not do that. GURPS has a very different pacing to it. And we're talking about like multiple actions. Like in D&D, you're going to be playing a monk who has 4 attacks in a round. Like you've got 4 attacks in a round, and you're going to move, and you're going to use your free attack for a 5th attack. And like you can do a lot on your turn. I will see you. Nice. Go say hi to Polish for me. And maybe we will raid her when we're done. And D&D abstracts a bunch of feints and parries and misses and stuff. Yes. Right. And those are very different ways. So like there's kind of an abstraction to D&D that lets you feel very powerful because you get to do a lot of stuff. And GURPS just doesn't do that. GURPS is a 1 second round. So generally speaking, you can move or you can attack, but you can't do both. And if you do both, there's going to be a penalty for it. Usually if you move and attack, it's going to be a wild swing that is heavily penalized, because that's a lot to do in 1 second. There are some ways around that, like you can spend, there's an optional rule where you can spend fatigue to sort of be able to do that. Also, I think the epic fantasy nature is why there's so much resistance of firearms or martial arts in D&D. I think that's true too, actually. Some people are like, oh, I don't like it. Yeah, but then also, there's also other paces, and this is something that's also in the Black Eye that I know D&D players hate. With, like, not all of them, but some of them are like, oh, I don't like this. That magic is slower in GURPS, also the Dark Eye. It's not, I don't think it's slower in The Witcher, but in GURPS, especially if you're not very, very skilled, it might take you a couple of turns to cast that spell, right? So generally speaking, casting a spell is one turn if you're very good, but it might be more turns. So for example, Fireball, the Fireball spell, of which there is one, the first turn will cast it and you will create the Fireball. You cannot throw the Fireball the same spell, the same round that you summon it. You summon that Fireball spell, and you've got it. Ooh, hey, Forlasanto. Thank you for those bits. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna sing We're in the Money as sung by Ginger Rogers in the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which means I'm gonna sing it in Pig Latin. And so, Airway and hey, the anime. Airway and hey, the anime. Eve way out, gaily out, way up, way up, way it, way to uted, gaily on way. Airway and hey, the anime. Either I skays or ani say. Oh man, the and pray, ooh, yare, ooh, three, you west and way on rail. Eat whatever you eat, red lands lay, of way brands lay, ute day. And when we see the anly or uplap the eye gar in the eye, we're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Thank you for Lasanto. If you plan to play Waterhole, yes, I will. I will do that. I will totally do that. And so I was saying that, where's my... Oh, I need my controller. But like in GURPS, you cannot cast the Fireball and throw it in the same round. So your Fireball is going to take you 2 rounds, but it might take longer because you can usually increase the damage of the Fireball by putting more magical energy into it. So maybe you spend 3 turns just making that Fireball bigger and bigger and bigger and more dangerous, and then you throw it. Shooting a bow and arrow also usually takes you knock the arrow, then maybe you aim, and then maybe you aim for a second round because you want to get a really good shot on it, and then you fire, and then you're gonna have to reload. Guns are faster, but like, although if you're using a black powder weapon, that takes a long time to reload. So probably what you're gonna do is fire, drop it, and then pull your sword. You know what I mean? Like, so like, and that's a very different pacing than D&D, where you get to do all the things all in one town, one turn. We talked to them, and then some gamers don't want to deal with any, like some narrativists don't want to deal with any of that, right? They're like, can we just have like one roll where we decide what's going to happen in the most dramatic way, and then that's what we do? And I think, oh, by the way, we have a giveaway for today. I'm going to just say that our giveaway is them fighting herds. And them's fighting herds, and we're gonna just give it away, and like we can just make sure you say something in the next 5 minutes or so, and then you'll be in the giveaway. And Verm's like, me, I don't want to deal with any of that, right? And so people I know who are really narrativists who come into GURPS are like, oh, but I don't care about hit location, and I kind of don't want I'm not interested in that, right? I want something that's just much more abstracted, right? So like what, like, so for example, for some D&Ders, it's right, it's like a different kind of abstraction. Like, what do you want and what is the purpose of that is just different ways of approaching it. And like, I think all of that is fair, right? What happened at Big Trooper Camp? I'm here. It's a game. What? Beetlewind says, I was actually thinking about a modern day D&D campaign and came to the conclusion that A, you can't do that really because magic fundamentally changes everything, and B, even if you could, everyone would just take a rifle anyway. Oh, that's so interesting, Beetle. I have a thought for you. Give it away now. In 5 minutes, remind me. If I ever decide to do a talk show, I'll just have Trooper on. I can just pick a topic and leave the rest to him. I've not finished the Outer Worlds, but someone just released a GURPS 4E game system on Foundry VTD yesterday. Really? Really? I need to know more about that. There's something that makes me sad when Trooper does talk shows. What makes you sad? Atomica, tell me about this sadness. I need to know. What are you headed to Mohabumi for? I was out in the boonies visiting family personally. I can't wait to get back home now. All the good stuff is in the city. This boat ride is so dull. Someone told me there's a performance later, but then she got all mumbly and quiet, so I'm not really sure if there's one or not. Apparently someone famous is on the boat. I don't know who. I wasn't really paying attention. People just keep telling me things. I guess I have one of those faces that people want to tell things to. He doesn't sing when you donate bits. That's fair. Okay, game system idea. Each player has types of story points that can influence that type of encounter. Everyone threw a pot of mods. One rolls those who spent points to describe the results they encounter. Oh, that's interesting. We'll do music. No, I can't go and sing on other people's channels. That might be like a thing. There's a spy game using 5e rules, but in a high spy type modern setting that has some intriguing new angles. There is a... I'm sorry, I hate to do this to you. Please don't say that I'm obvious, but there is a GURP setting that is a modern day setting with magic called Technomancer, and it's a setting like in modern day where magic exists, and the whole setup is when Oppenheimer says, "I've become death," the destroyer of worlds at the nuclear testing that actually finished like the nuclear bomb test, and that particular phrase ended up sort of creating a ritual that sort of brought magic into the world. And I know we need a bingo card. It's terrible. And so it is a setting where there is both magic and also high-powered rifles, and it's interesting because having guns, realistic guns in like I've done GURP settings that were Renaissance that had guns, but Renaissance guns are not rapid fire guns, and so they're actually they impact things quite differently. But what ends up happening is that the magic ends up being kind of different, right? The magic functions differently, it does different things, and you use magic differently in a setting, like in a modern day setting. So that's interesting. And there are a couple of modern day settings actually that, there's a really good one, Voodoo, where the magic is very slow, that you wouldn't use it in combat, but you use the magic to do other things. That gun doesn't help you if I'm casting a spell on you from the other side of this city, because I was able to like do a heist and get some of your hair and use that as a fetish to go and cast nightmares so you can't sleep for days on end. I'm just saying there are like different ways in which magic can work even, and that becomes really interesting. I was more referring to Beatles' comment, which is specific to D&D. That's fair. But yeah, they kind of retooled magic stuff into hacking. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm not sure it even applies when magic isn't really present. Origami Shuriken's here. Origami's running a space D&D game. What are your thoughts? Like, what are your experiences and thoughts in terms of like laser guns and guns in your futuristic D&D setting, Origami? Tell me about your experiences and your feelings about that. Hello. I don't seem to recall seeing you on this vessel. Oh, I've definitely been around. Just another witch from Chandesh. That's me. Oh, most peculiar. Well, you don't need to answer this, but I must ask. Are you a member of the Spell Squad? What? Of course. How rude of me to be so direct. I shan't ask more of it. Magic can always exist in your heart. Us civilians really don't know much, mind. Only theories and rumors. They say that Rule was behind the princess's disappearance, and that she's no longer living. You really needn't confirm or deny anything. Your silence says it all. I'm sorry if my questioning has bothered you. Your secrets are safe with me. Really, I'm thankful for all the great work the squad does. All while hiding plainly among us. Oh, Rudolph. There are a lot of doors here, and I don't know how I feel about that, so I'm really a big fan of ritual magic in modern settings without any advancing magic. I do love a good ritual magic, very much so. By the way, we're gonna do our giveaway because we just played a whole lot of the game, and now I just thought we should do a little bit of a giveaway for them's fighting herds. Where's my? Hawkeye. Vancian magic is the style of magic that you get in D&D. Sort of typified by having spell slots where a person sort of memorizes spells and uses them and forgets them. Right? Like sort of, it's very immediate. It's very big. It's like, you're like, you can cast so many spells in a day, and then once you're done, but you kind of cast them immediately and you can get big effects. That's sort of fancy, but there are different ways of doing magic that sort of work slightly differently. Chris is like a whole lot. Beetlewind says, well, I was mostly thinking about from a purely world-building sense, and it's less that magic and tech live together and more how did the history of this world develop, where magical institutions allowed things like the creation of things like the internet. It's less about how magic and tech don't work together, more about how poorly thought out civilization changing magic be. Yeah, it's really interesting, and there are a number of settings that really sort of think about what that might be like and how you might do it and what you would like, what that might mean. And I think some of it also has to be with like what world you're in. I have a thought about this. Origami says, it's been interesting to retool the fantasy stuff like spell scrolls when people are walking around with computers. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah. No fireballs or magic that works without fail. Magic should be mysterious. Capturing demons in your mind prison. I like fancy other types of magic too. I actually like really different types of magic. I like there to be different choices so that I can get a different feeling. And then expending demons to fuel spells. Yes. I never heard the term before. Yo, no worries. I mean, fireball, sure, but not as magic so advanced it is tech. I think there's also like what I think is really, I'm really fascinated by the different ways people choose to create magic systems and what that can do for your world, right? Like how that can make the setting feel different. Eberron takes that idea, but it gets bogged down by the idea and paradigm. I really enjoyed Eberron as a setting. I thought it was very interesting. Yeah, like I do need a thick, fat, leathery tome full of spells, or do I just load up the Kindle on my phone? Yes. I tend to enjoy diverse magic, except the exact selection probably varies from setting to setting and time period. Yes. And it's so one of the magic systems that I have enjoyed very much is from Castle Falkenstein. And Castle Falkenstein does this very cool thing, which I like. It's very stressful, and I appreciate that. And that is, you as there are these sort of building blocks for spells, and you decide how you want to build your spell, right? So for example, if I want to throw a fireball, I'm going to need to sort of do a spell that sort of create fire. I'm going to decide how much damage I want that spell to do. I'm going to decide how many people I want it to engulf. So I could decide that I want a fireball that does, like, if we're going to use D&D terms, like 20d6 damage and will hit 50 people. That's a very expensive spell. Like, you can create your spell as big as you want to, or as small. Like, it's really up to you as, like, and also, like, how far do you want it to be able to go? Like, how, do you want it to be able to, do you want this fireball to last? Like, it hits them and it doesn't go away. It just keeps doing damage to them for, like, another 5 minutes. Like, you can craft your fireball spell however you want, but the more stuff you've got in your spell, the more expensive that spell is. And the way that magic works in Castle Falkenstein is that there's a deck of cards, because Castle Falkenstein uses cards. There's a deck of cards, and each card, and like every turn you pull a card in your hand, and each card represents how many points of mana you have gathered from the environment around you. And if your spell is, and each spell has a different flavor, so emotion control spells are hearts, and violent spells are clubs, and like diamonds is something, and spades is something. And so any card that is a club will give you the full value of that card. So if I pulled a 10 of clubs, that's 10 mana points, and I might be able to do like a really big spell. That's pretty good. But if I pull like a 10 of hearts, that's only going to be worth 1 point. And so the question becomes, like, every turn you pull a card, and you can keep pulling as long as you want, right? You can just keep pulling, but every time you pull, it takes time, right? And if you get like a bad joker, things explode. It's no good. But you can make massive spells in that system, much more powerful than like a D&D spell. It's just that it's going to take a lot of time, and it might be dangerous. Other people might be wondering what you're doing. Whereas if you want to do just like a really quick little fireball, it might just take you one turn, and then like you throw it. You know what I mean? Like it's like just, oh, one card, go. So it kind of like it's interesting where like it's up to you to sort of maybe take a risk about how you want to build it. And if you if you get the points you need to make that fireball, but you have a lot of hearts in there, that you're using a lot of hearts to sort of to fuel it, that's wrong aspected energy. And so maybe that fireball will actually have some kind of weird emotional side effect. Like maybe the people you throw that fireball at become berserk or enraged, or who knows what. Like they're like different. So like that's interesting. I like it. I like it a lot. We went from making fire to decide how many people to set on fire real fast. Sometimes, you know. Origami says, I haven't really changed how things work so much as coming up with creative descriptions. And it sometimes ends up looking different depending on what time period or part of the galaxy or the tech or magic is from. That sounds fun, Origami. That sounds like a fun thing to do as a GM. I feel like I would have fun with that. I remember that Mage from White Wolf First Ed was challenging because you really had to put a lot of thought into your spells in a way that D&D didn't. Yeah, Mage is another kind of interesting improvisatory magic system. Sounds like you're talking about Through the Breach. Beetlewind says, so part of this thought didn't come from TTRPGs at all. Giving myself more water. But from an issue of Iron Man, where Tony Stark was outside the ISS repairing it. And I just thought, hold on, you Tony Stark have spaceships that can travel the galaxy. The US sells mining rights on Mars. You have the Fantastic Four regularly dimension hopping, and these astronauts are still shoved into this tin can. Maybe they don't care about the astronauts very much. Poor astronauts. I feel really badly for them. That's like really sad. It's D&D in the mage hand press dark matter sci-fi. Yes. There was something, I love dark matter. Ooh. There was something else about this. Oh, I was also, there's this magic system I'm super, a little bit obsessed with that I'm really excited about, but I've not yet run it for reasons. And that is Unknown Armies, first and second edition. I have to relook at how third edition works. It's really interesting how magic works in that system. I'm kind of low-key obsessed with magic. I think, like, maybe you don't want to be a magic user in Unknown Armies. I mean, like, you can be, but you may not want to be, because the only way that you can become a magic user is to become so obsessed with something that you lose your grip on reality, and by losing your grip on reality, you can then alter reality. So you are obsessed with something. And you gain magic charges by doing something that is related to your obsession, and then you lose them if you do something that is taboo for your all mages are marauders, right? For your obsession. So for example, something like, and the magic you can do is very limited to what your obsessions are. So like maybe you're obsessed with guns, or maybe you're obsessed with television, or maybe you're obsessed with alcohol, or maybe you're obsessed with history, or maybe you're obsessed with celebrity. Like there are these different things that people become obsessed with, money, and your obsession allows you some kind of control over that particular realm of the world. Sounds like achieving Chim in the Elder Scrolls. When you realize you are a video game and NPC, and one of two things happen: you either stop existing or become a god. Yes. Elder Scrolls. And so, like, if you are, for example, obsessed with TRPGs, and like there are things like for the TV person, like you have a show that's really obsessive, and if you like, you can get charges, like a minor charge, like a really minor charge, like maybe watching your show, but like to get like a major charge, you might need to get like something from the show, like a script or like a piece of costuming. And like a major charge might be like a really big deal, and then like a minor thing might be, you might be able to spread a rumor about someone through the television, right? Could be like a minor thing you could do. It makes somebody believe something, like by putting it on the news, or like there are these kind of different, and like a major charge is something really, really big. But if you ever miss your show, then you lose all your charges, right? So there are these, so it's very limited what you can do, and it's very odd, but it's kind of a cool concept of what it is, that how magic works. I love interesting magic systems and playing magic characters assuming the magic is interesting. Tend to find the magic in D&D limiting in a bad way, so tend to find them kind of boring. I think it's interesting how people have different feelings about the different types of magic in D&D. The irony of a magic user being obsessed with practical magic, like Piff the Magic Dragon getting magical charges from the excitement of performing a new coin trick for a crowd. Oh, yeah, that could be cool. Right? But then if somebody sees through your trick, you lose all your charges, right? So there are all these, and that's like a very different way of thinking about magic, and I really enjoy just exploring different kinds of magic systems, and sometimes contrasting different types of magic systems. There's a setting that I have in my mind that will have both a kind of advancing magic and also a slow magic. So mages still gotta pay rent. And like, so that's like interesting to me, how we decide to deal with magic and what that might mean for the world. Hello, I'm the captain of this boat, and I'm also the marimba player in the band. Of the three parts, I go first, because I'm the captain, and captains are the leader. It's easily the most important part of the performance. I have to capture the audience's interest and set up the rest of the song. But I don't have any music to play. Perhaps you could compose it for me? Oh. I do tend to enjoy the charisma-based casters more in D&D Pathfinder or hybrid classes. Javai, tell me why. I'm not challenging you, I'm interested. It's me gathering information. Why? What about them is interesting to you? Atomica, wait, is that why magic shows always start slow? Maybe. Also, I really liked in first edition D&D, forgive me, I enjoyed that in first edition D&D you could specialize in a school, and then not, like, you could be just an illusionist, and having that particular kind of limitation was interesting to me. Some people didn't like it. Most people did not be an illusionist. They weren't illusionists, but I liked it. Most excellent. You have the floor. Okay, I'm gonna improvise. The rhythm was a little bit off, I'm sorry. That's too late. That last one was a little bit too late, sorry. No, let me try again. The rhythm is off on that one, I'm sorry. No, it's there, you can hear it. So I can turn it up for you, though. Here you go. I'll turn it up. My favorite caster was a kobold bard whose inspiration was through cooking. His played a lot of fun with the character. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, like, evocation spells just couldn't cast abjuration spells. Right. Hey, Trooper, didn't you see we were going to pull a winner? Oh, I totally did. Thank you, Jer. Thank you. Yes. Yes. I think the method of how you game magic feels more arcane somehow, which feels more open to putting interesting spins on it. Like a wizard is just someone that read a lot. A sorcerer has something going on in their history causing magic. Yes. We can't hurt. Well, I'll turn it up. As a rule, though, mentalists probably can't gather much mana since they're con artists and always seem to get seen through unless they actually use magic. However, class I think is me enjoying spell blades and the like slot, like weaving spells into their fighting styles. By the way, we have a winner for the game Them's Fighting Herds. Who's the winner? Atomica. Atomica! Hey, Atomica. Guess what? Guess what? Chicken butt. Hey, Atomica. Atomica. You are the winner for our giveaway, which I'm very excited about. It is Them's Fightin' Herds, which according to Krellin was originally going to be an indie fighting game that was based on My Little Pony, but then My Little Pony was like, cease and desist. So they're like, okay, we'll reskin it. So it's a action an indie action game. An indie action game is what I got for you. It's what I got for you. I'm gonna send it to you right now. I'm gonna whisper this to you as we speak. I like the idea of a witchfinder being so obsessed with hunting down magic creatures that gain magical ability to do so. That's cool. The good news is I'll actually be able to play it soon. Oh, yes, yay. Thank you, Atomica. You know, Clockwork Dominion has 3 different magic systems, depending on what kind of being you are. And by that I mean, so there's like charms, which are like little inborn charms that you can do, like oftentimes kind of like fey creatures will have them. They're kind of like powers, actually. And then there's like a different kind of magic that, and then there's like a full ritual system. So there are different levels of magic that you can use. They're like little glamours, and then like kind of scale it bottom to top. And the last one was that silly golf game. Didn't actually finish it. Well, but like Clockwork Dominion, it's fun. I am enjoying it. I'm going to run some more. I want to run more Clockwork Dominion. I want to run it on my channel, but I have to create the character sheet for it first. Oh, by the way, I need to give this person a. Can you hear the rhythm? No, that's not it. That's not it. I don't like it. Hey, Atomica, it's time to celebrate my win. The only way I know how. All right. No, that's not what I wanted. That music is bad, everybody. I gave you really bad music. I gave you the wrong one. Are you running anything virtually for Gen Con Online? Also, the music is pretty low. Actually, I am not. I'm not running anything on Gen Con Online. Why is this music low? It does look kind of low, doesn't it? I'm not. I think we're not. I don't think the Clockwork Dominion folks are actually doing anything for Gen Con. So I am not. I also think in D&D I like charisma-based casters more, as they tend to have a bit more freedom in the moment on what to do with their magic from a gameplay standpoint. Like they can do less, but can adapt in the moment, which I enjoy more than setting spells and hoping it works as you want to. Oh, yeah. By the way, my bandmates are likely in need as well. By the way, you should help them follow up my performance. I don't... Yeah, I don't like it. I just gave him a part that I don't like. I don't think it's good. It doesn't work for me. I don't like it. This is my part, the first to play. Is it still to your liking? No, let's change it. I don't like it. Sorry, I don't like it. I don't think, I realize that we're a little bit obsessive about this music part, but I don't like it. I don't think it's good. Remember, I'm the first to play, so please keep that in mind in your composition. All right. No, I don't like it. No, let me try again. I don't like it. Like, I just really haven't cracked my new book, picked up a fun book and a medicine book, and I gotta read that one before. Yeah, no, I need to. Being a game is there. It's a singing game. It's like, Plato's Republic. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go. No, that's bad. That's really bad, everybody. No, that's not it. That is not it. No, it is not it. It is not. That was really bad. I'm so sorry. Yeah, this we can do. This we can do. This is which is actually, the problem is it's actually a little bit difficult to do it with the controller to get the timing right. And I want, because I want it to be in rhythm. I don't want it to be, yeah. That's what the, ba 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 ba. Like, it's okay. Like, harmonically, it's gonna be all over the place, but it's fine. Most excellent. My bandmates are likely in need as well. You should help them follow up my performance. This is my part, the first to play. Is it still to your liking? Yeah, no, it's good. It's fine. It's good. I must agree. Hey, Edward, we worked it out for you. It's great. You're gonna be fine now. I'm not even worried. It's okay. It's just one of those weird things where I find the rhythm of this controller in this game a little bit odd. Oh, it's locked. It's just a little, like, I don't know. Yeah, at least we're playing the game on the label for the session. It's right. Oh, accordion? This person looks more like a human being. Hola! Here for the show this evening? I'm in the band, you know, and my part is the most important. I'm the last to play. The big finale. I'm the part everyone remembers long after the show. It must be exciting to me, eh? Yeah. Tell me more. Dance into the rhythm. I'm sorry for all the lurking. Oh, Krellin, that's fine. I'm having a really bad day where it hurts to sit. Oh, no. Krellin, if I were made of money, I would get you one of those fancy chairs that is like $1 gazillion. You know, like one of those fancy chairs that, I don't know, hugs your body when you sit on it. That's what I would do. If I could, I would do that for you. You know, in a decadent chair that's I would do that. I get very frustrated in D&D by the fact that an obviously powerful spellcaster with vast knowledge of the arcane can't do things like glue two objects together with mending simply because the spell has been worded in a way that it can only repair a break in a single object. For instance, magic in D&D is a very specific purpose. Usually that purpose is destroying stuff. That's true. But it's not an improvisatory system, you know? But there are improvisatory systems where you can do other things, and some people don't like it. Some people do, some people don't like it. Fabrication. Oh. See, Krellin will let you know. There was another spell system I actually quite liked. Well, I was born just a normal witch, in Mohabumi, but I always knew I was destined for greatness. Anyway, enough of that. Our conductor lost the score for tonight, but it's no big deal. I'll be winging it. Wish me luck in the show tonight. Oh no, Fernando. Hola. Just waiting for the show tonight. No. I'm writing your part. What? You? Think you can make something worthy of the big finale? Oh yeah. Well, let's see what you got. Okay, big finale. Accordion, right? Whoa, that's quite complex. Huh, but I can handle it. Does this sound like a big finale to you? Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's totally it. No sweat. Looks like we got ourselves a finale. Just gotta make sure the band's with us. This is it, the big finale. Yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. That I'm just enjoying. I'm into it. I'm into that. I'm into it. There's a Discworld TTRPG. There is. It's using GURPS. Beetle wins. That is a GURPS book. Is that word out? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The best magic is headology. I have a D&D GM that will accept logical extremes, like if it's entertaining for them up to. Oh yeah. Ooh, you spooked me. Why would you just run into someone's cabin? To write you music. Is that so? Well, for the performance this evening? Well, I'll have you know, my part is the absolute most important. I'm dead middle, part 2 of 3. I have to keep the audience interested, all while filling in the real meat of the song. If you can write for that, then let's see what you've got. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'm into it. Well, not bad. That's it then, isn't it? We're due to perform quite soon. Well, I feel good about it. I feel good about our lives. And we're out of doors. We've done all we have been so productive. Nobody even knows. I feel like people who watch me stream video games are in awe of just how much video game we get done in a day. I think that's it. Oh, miraculously the band has music to play. Won't you join us for the show then? Well, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Can you really be that productive if men won't even talk to you? I don't know. You're right. Okay, I'm waiting for the song to go. I'm really excited for this. Doesn't even feel like you've been playing for 2.5 hours. I totally haven't. Thank you for coming. On this empty boat, with nothing else to do. May we now present to you our song, which somebody just made up today. Booyah! Speedrunner, Voice Smoker, I'm like the #1 speedrunner in the world. It's just that I'm so fast at speedrunning that it seems like I'm slow. Do you know what I mean? It's like you go all the way around in a circle. I'll be honest, World Sound, that's more of a GM issue. A role-player GM would rule that. A role-player GM would likely laugh and let you do it since it's creative. Yeah. Maybe not Weird Al, more like, I don't know. I know I'd likely only step in if the spell adjustment was causing actual game-breaking issues, yeah. I did not expect the Smash, me neither. Trooper Speedrunner is doing the same game in the least time, not the most time. Wait. How do you know? Okay, Krellin, how do you know I'm not playing the game like 14 million times and each time, like each second is like, I'm so fast that it takes me like 5 seconds just play through the game and you just, it's like, each still of a film reel is just me playing the game the entire time through. And it just seems like I'm only playing it really slowly, but it's just so fast. That's all. I don't think it's a GM issue. It's a system issue that a GM can duct tape if he feels like it. I knew it was Rebel when I saw that upside down treble. Yeah, because I'm literally watching you play. That's how I know. Details, Krellin, details. Oh my goodness. Ooh, riveting. That was like... Uh-oh. No! Why is she here? Why is she here? Bravo! Bravo! Why is she here? Oh, crap! It's... Ooh, Miss Hero. We're so honored by your attendance. Oh, no, no. The honor is all mine. She's gonna murder some ocean god. I know, she's the worst. You'd have to get streaming rate to 1080 at least to catch it, right? She is the hero origami shuriken who's here to ruin the game for us. She's trying to sabotage us because she's the hero, and she's gonna murder all the people that we need to save. She's bad, is what I'm trying to tell you. I mean, GURPS seems 90% duct tape and 10% cardboard, so I don't see the issue there. Why did she have lips for eyebrows? That's a very good question. It's just a matter of how good you are with duct tape. Origami Shuriken, she's really terrible. She's trying to murder all the people. We're trying to save the world, and she's trying to mess us up, and she's not very nice. She's Becky with the good hair, and that's true. The honor is all mine, but you know what I'm not honored by is the attendance of these criminals. I mean, her hair is pretty cool, it's true. You keep using that word, hero. I do not think you know what it means. Criminals? Yes, I'm afraid so. These rogues broke through Rule's border, cheated their way into the king's court, and made a getaway from prison to here. They're fugitives from Rule. Do they deserve the murder? That's a matter of debate. There's a matter of debate on that one. Wait, I can't believe how cool these punks are. What? They broke every rule in the book. Ooh, all to subterfuge rule. Ooh, the scoundrels who took our beloved princess. An enemy of those villains are surely our friend. Huh. Guess that would explain some things, like how we found her. But why would they do that? Don't you know? The people of Rule hate Chandesh. They do anything to get at us. Oh, Miss Hero. She must have retired for the evening. So. It's certainly getting late. As captain, I advise that all guests on the boat take it easy and enjoy themselves tonight. I want a different captain voice, but it's too late. It's too late. Upside down treble clef, that's what it was all about. It's too punk. I like the green. So, oh, hello. What am I doing out here? Minstrel. I actually don't know who's driving the boat, Beetle Wins. It's actually a bit of a question that I'm concerned about. Huh? Oh, the pilot. That makes sense, Krellin. Oh. Minstrel. What? It's me, the princess, the ghost you met. You delivered my message to the king. Oh, you scared me. Yes, well, it's very hard not to do that when you're dead. Please, listen to me. I'm trapped in your body, and I still need your help. But I can help you, too. By the way, there's a U-Haul driving in to my apartment complex. Clearly, people are moving. I wonder who it is. Is it one of my colleagues? Is it a rando? Anyway, the Queen. You need to speak with her. That's my mom. I need to talk to her, too, before the invasion tomorrow. But it won't be easy to get to her. Mohabumi is a place for magical people. And you can't use magic, can you? Nope. Right. But if we work together, I think we can figure something out. I like teamwork. It's a bit new to me, but so is being dead. And I guess it hasn't stopped me yet. Sorry for invading your body and then being trapped inside it. That was pretty rude. And you've already done so much for me. I realize I'm asking a lot. It's cool. It sounds like we need your help too. I guess so. My name's Hala, by the way. The city is just ahead. We're getting very close, everyone. By the way, I'm very excited. It'll be a rival for the year. Every school has drama has a rival. That is fair. Is it time of year, Trooper? Moving for all the people who are relocating before everything went all the pandemic? Yes. You're supposed to ask consent at the start, not at the end. Yes. As captain, I would recommend that we all prepare to disembark. So first off, we got off the boat. Welcome to Mohabumi. Please take this complimentary guide map. Ooh, I got a map. Hold down to open it. Okay. Hold what down? That was unclear. I'm not on a boat. Hey, this map doesn't have anything on it. It will fill itself in as you visit different areas. Non-magical persons will have trouble accessing much of the city, so we do not clutter the map with places you cannot see. And you may have noticed this is entirely underground. We keep it lit by magical crystals. Visitors often find this unusual, but a vertically designed city is more space efficient and convenient to navigate if you can fly, that is. The boat is getting away. Down arrow? Yes. There's much to enjoy here in Mohabumi, even if you are not magical. The main marketplace is just up ahead, and if you are interested in the study of magic, the academy is also on the ground floor. Well, thanks. Well, that didn't do it. No. Oh! I found it. I found the map. Also... Also, by the way, Origami Shuriken, check it out. I can dance. I'm dancing. Little spider dancing. That's it. I feel like these magic crystals don't do anything, but, you know. Hello. Why, hello. Welcome to Mohabumi. The band is all dispersed now, but we really are big fans of your composition. Perhaps we'll save it for future shows here. I know. I like maps. See, look. Look, this map is like way old school D&D, where you're sort of like, do you remember, do people do that? Hey, question about D&D 5e cultural practices. Do you remember playing, anybody who was there playing D&D back in the day, in the old day? Maybe you're playing D&D 1e. I wasn't doing it in D&D 3, actually. I was only doing it in D&D 1e. No, people don't still map dungeons. Okay, fine, Krellin, you knew my question. Us old people remember back in the olden times, right? Like you would map dungeons, right? Like I remember it was like back in my AD&D days. Yes, like I remember we would map dungeons, right? Like there would be a lot of describing of the dungeon, and there would be somebody there with like your grid map, right? Just like mapping. Oh yeah, mapping dungeons was important. I do if I'm playing at my house. Do you really? Do you want to be able to leave or not? Graph. Thank you. Graph paper beetle lens. Thank you. Yeah, no one wanted to do the map. Jim does. He draws on X cards during Dark Matter. Oh, cool. Oh, I did map the planet we were hunting heretics on, though. Oh, cool. And not just in dungeons. No point playing an Infocom game without a pad of grape. Oh, yeah. There have been a number of things because they're just like, oh my gosh, you cannot play an Infocom game without mapping because you'll never know where you are. You know what I mean? You're just like, okay, wait, north, room door, north. Like you have to. Yes, King's Quest, all those games. I remember doing all the mapping, and it's interesting because Ultima, oh my gosh, notes on notes, also Ultima. And you know what's really interesting about this? This goes back to, you can go north, south, left, and apple. This actually goes back to the different outlooks on the games, and I'm thinking about Bard's Tale's another one, and I'm thinking about gamist games, and the ways in which gamist games often are about the player, not necessarily the character. I remember the blue-white dragon squares you could use for making random delves. Oh yeah. And mapping outside of character is also a gamist thing, right? The idea, because if you were doing it, how do I put this? Dennis Beetle wins, the other direction is Dennis, yes. Because in a very narrativist game, that's actually not exciting to the story, so you just don't need to do that. You know what I mean? Like probably you're gonna roll some navigation rolls to get where you need to go and then we're going to get to the story. In a simulationist game, you could argue that you could make navigation rolls to recall where you went. That one could argue, right? Like, I mean, so here's an interesting theoretical thing, right, between different outlooks. And one would be like, and this is like the thing, this is like a position that I have, which is, I suppose, very simulationisty, which is that if your character would know it, if your PC would know it, but you as the PC have forgotten, I'm gonna just tell you, or at least, like, I may not even make you roll. I might just tell you, because your character would know it. So it's only realistic that you would know it. Like, I'm not gonna rely on you, the player, knowing a thing if your character would know it, because that doesn't seem accurate, right, or realistic. That's when you make sure one party member has eidetic memory. Yes, right. But that's a very simulationist thing, that I don't expect you, the player, to have the skills that your character has, and what I'm interested in is what the skills your character has. And so if you're I just tell the players things that PCs would know. But I also, if I know the player is playing a tactical genius, and the character is a tactical genius but the player is not, I can just have them roll the tactics and help them out, because that's what would be realistic for that setup. Whereas in a really gamist game, actually, it's totally fine for you as the player to bring all of your tactical skills into that moment, because that's also part of the point. And then, of course, you're gonna be mapping as well. Yeah, right. Like, and it's just a different charge, a different, like, thrill. Like, you're getting a different thing out of it. My theory on dungeon navigation is that if it's a repurposed natural cave system, then yeah, you need a map. But if it's a man-made dungeon, then you shouldn't need one, because it doesn't make any sense to build a dungeon that gets its own minions lost. See, now Beetle wins, you are thinking like a simulationist right now. That's what you're doing, because in a real gamist sense, the dungeons don't need to make sense. They need to be a good challenge, right? Like, you really, like, that 9-level mega dungeon, like, doesn't really make sense, right? Like, why is there a man-made mega dungeon that's 9 levels deep? Why, like, what is the ecosystem of that dungeon? Why are these things happening? Why does this look like this? Why is this dungeon like this? It doesn't make sense from a realist perspective, but from a gamist perspective, it's totally fine, because it's a challenge, right? You know, like, that's the point of the dungeon, is that it's a level-based challenge, and then you, like, go through your stuff. You don't need to worry so hard about, like, what it is they're eating and why it is they're all still alive in this hidden dungeon. Like, it is fine. It's fine. Yes, you know, like, but, like, as a simulationist, I'm like, this just gave me a realization, actually. Who would build this 500-room dungeon? How dare you? As someone who's worked in retail management, doesn't care if minions get lost. Well, that's fair. Why is there a magical item shop sandwiched between a level of goblins and a level of flail snails? Why is that? But Trooper, what do they eat? Like, management only cares when you clock in and clock out. Well, IKEA isn't a dungeon, it's its own eldritch industry. Like, I sometimes get confused in IKEA. And I just realized something. It's really interesting. I was thinking about, do you know what? I will tell you, want to know what one of my biggest weaknesses as a magic gift? Ooh. One of my biggest weaknesses as a dungeon master. Not to worry, we won't be able to reach you here. Mohabumi is like a huge fortress, although you can't use magic, can you? You'll have a hard time getting around town on foot. I'm a complete fool at these shops. Every time I come, I feel I have to purchase something. Or 2, or 3, or 4 things. Most of these shops are tourist traps for visitors, of course. The classy places are high up in the city. Are just so colorful and lovely. I suppose I really am easy. SCP-3008 strikes again. Chris, the dungeon is where employees hide while they're on the clock. Did you hear about the guy who got arrested for putting down the one-way stickers in IKEA to create a loop? Really? I didn't know that. Oh, that's so interesting. Huh. So I just realized something. This is really interesting, and this is really interesting. I just had a breakthrough here on stream with you all. I just learned something about myself, and I wonder if knowing this will change things for me. And here's the thing: my one weakness as a dungeon master, game master.
Name game.
Well, I won't tell you now. Now I'm gonna do the name game. The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, and then an M will appear. And then I say bow out of B, then I say the name, then banana, fan, or info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Vopez, 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 banana, fana, fopez, fee, fi, momopez. Vopez, woo, Vopez, thank you for the resub. It's like 30 months, which is wild. That's wild. It's all about timing the distraction. This is true. Okay, so this is like, I think my biggest weakness, or I always felt, I don't know what other people think my weakness is as a GM, but this always felt like a weakness to me, and this is something I always struggled with. I always struggled with designing dungeons. Like when I'm doing like a big, like if I'm gonna do a big old D&D thing, I often will just like get already made dungeon like maps and then populate with my own stuff. But I have a really hard time drawing dungeons. And I always felt like, why am I not good at drawing dungeons? Like this seems like all my AD&D buddies back in the day, they'd make all these dungeons and I would have such a hard time with it. And I realized the reason why was because I was always trying to make a realistic dungeon. I have trouble finding maps I like in general. Yeah, that's fair. Like I could do like other things, like I could do like countries, I could do lots of different types of maps, but dungeons, I could do like cities and villages, but dungeons were always really hard for me. I'm not sure that's a weakness since only dungeon crawls into dungeon, but like I feel like, you know, when I was running 3E, I had to design my dungeons in 3x1 blocks because we did mapping by putting Jenga tiles down. Oh, that's interesting. Oh. And like for me though, like I think the problem that I had, and now I realize what's going on, is that I was approaching trying to create my dungeon in a simulationist way, where like I spent time studying what actual dungeon, I was like looking for floor plans for actual dungeons, like trying to figure out like, okay, can I find a floor plan for an actual basement? Can I find floor plans? Like I would like do all these searches trying to find floor plans for actual, like I did, like could I find maps for medieval castles and see what their dungeons, like I kept trying to like make dungeons that made sense. Sea Spider's like, yeah, I've gone down that rabbit hole. Dungeons don't make sense, they're not practical. Actual basement floor plans are pretty simple, right? And that's the problem. Actual dungeons are pretty simple. And so I never, like I remember I would come up with things, but they were never, they didn't look like dungeons. I mean, they looked like dungeons, they didn't look like Dungeons and Dragons dungeons. They were like 2 floors maybe, and there were a row of cells. Do you know what I mean? Like they weren't, like I was trying to think like, and I try to imagine what each room was going to be in a realistic sense. Like, okay, well, if it's a dungeon, well, clearly they bring people down there for like, they have prisoners there. So there might be a guard room. Like I would just like build what seemed to be realistically practical, and then it was 3 rooms, and it was not a 9-level dungeon full of labyrinths, and I just had a really hard time doing this thing. And I think the problem was I was just thinking about it way too simulationistly, and maybe I just need to really embrace like a gamist, not just like lots of corridors and then a room, then like maybe I just need to let go the idea that it had to make sense and I had to know exactly what the purpose of the dungeon was, why it was built, why there would be traps here at all. That didn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I tried even like Egyptian pyramids. I was like, that was like the best I got, was like looking at Egyptian pyramid floor plans. I used a shopping mall floor plan for dungeon once. Oh, that sounds good. Yes, Trooper. Listen, Nelson. Yeah, I should just let it go. I think I did a prison break recently. The players got a stolen golem into a portable hole. Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna run over just like 15 minutes because I started late. So I'm gonna stop at like 9:15ish. Then I'm gonna eat and then we'll do critical roll. Yes, thank you, Rissa. Yeah, so it was this really interesting. I just want you to know that I have just realized why I was having a hard time making dungeons, and maybe I can make better dungeons now. Maybe I can do that. And like I'm telling you, I have. You need to play the old game Dungeon Master 2 and take the floor plan you end with and use that. Maybe, yeah. Right, I have to do some sleep because it is near 2 a.m. here. Oh, good night, Beetlewinds. Thank you for hanging out with us. Sleep well, and we will see you maybe on Saturday at noon for Outer Worlds, I hope. If the PS4 will work, I hope it will. If not, then we'll talk RPGs. Or, next week, whenever you got the time. I feel like I just made a breakthrough. You can make a dungeon that makes sense that has more than 3 rooms. Just stop thinking of it as a dungeon and think of it as an underground monster lair. Yeah, that's probably the thing that will help, right? I think I need to think about it that way as an underground monster lair, and then it might be much easier for me to do it, like conceptually. If I think about it that way, that would really help a lot. But I just had a really hard time. Like, I just remember, like, can I get a floor plan of ancient Egyptian pyramids? Like, that has to be it. It has to work that way. Like, I have to be able to do it. Who the hell puts a trapdoor on the entrance to their house? Tell me. I learned how to flow different types and then throw in the strangest based on the NPC personality. Yeah, and actually, I read lots of theory about how to design dungeons in terms of narrative. Like, I spent so much time being like, okay, how do you design a dungeon like a narrative? Like, how do you do this thing? Like, what is your theme? Like, all of these things, sort of like kind of narrativist ways of trying to think about dungeons. But like I don't think I was framing it the right way. I think I was framing it the wrong way. Bolo's Guide has a couple interesting lair designs that might be worth a look. Oh. Look at like anthills or rabbit warrens or something. Yeah, I think that would probably be also really good. I think that's the thing I need to look at. Anthills, rabbit warrens, something like that. You put a trapdoor on the fake entrance. That looks real. Yes. Yes. So anyway, that's my little realization, is that I was thinking about them in a way that was not helpful because of like my outlook. And now I can maybe think about it in a different way. And I'm excited about that. There are lots of supplements describing whack-doodle traps back in the day. They really did. But that's also part of the thing where like, okay, I'm gonna make a dungeon. Here's a book with whack-doodle traps. I'll just sprinkle them in, because it was about the challenge, not the architecture, if that makes any sense, right? Like, ooh, and I'm gonna have here's a dungeon with a reverse gravity trap. Why? I don't know. I don't know why there's a reverse gravity trap in here, but there is. Why is there a trap that when you sit down on this chair, you get turned into a rabbit? I don't know why. I really don't. That is not a thing that I understand, but that's a good trap. Let's do it. The rabbit chair trap. Origami Shuriken. There were so many traps and fake doors in the Saltmarsh module I adapted a few weeks ago. Really? What did you do? How did you deal with that? And so it's just interesting to me, the ways in which those outlooks sort of make... Do you want to know something? I made a dungeon that was basically a haunted house that was not about traps at all. It was just mostly about learning the backstory of this terrible event that happened because it was haunted by ghosts, and you learned like this dramatic thing. So it's interesting to me the ways in which outlook can change and alter what a dungeon design might even mean to you, or even if you have a dungeon, or if you do have a dungeon, like what is it doing? There was and so many OP monsters. Ooh. I wish I could remember the name of the books that went over that, but they were nuts. I remember those, yeah. Why is there a chair that turns into a rabbit if you sit in it? You have the time to learn. If you have time to lean, you have time to clean. Oh, that's fair. The whole thing was run by a drill sergeant who just wanted to punish you for sitting down. That's fair. I threw them all out the airlock and rearranged the dungeon floor plan. Good for you. Can you get Miriam through purchasing a broom before you win today? Yes. I guess they sell brooms in this witch city. Don't know why I didn't think of that. They all look like crap, though. We don't have money also. Oh yeah. This always happens to us. How are we ever gonna get anywhere? Apparently, if you can't fly, you can't even get to most of the city. Really missing my broom right now. I really wanted to see the city, too. I've never been around so many witches. One way or another, we have to meet the queen. She's got the overseer's song, right? Don't worry, Miriam. I have a plan. Really? To meet the queen? Mm-hmm. Huh. Okay. I'll work on getting a broom. Somehow. In the end, I left a single pirate in the final room with a teleportation circle that was bringing in a bunch of space zombies. Space zombies are great because here's the thing about space zombies. They really appreciate like the use of space. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't clump. Space zombies are, here's the thing about space zombies. Space zombies do social distancing. They always stay 6 feet from each other. They really make the space, I think. I'm a fan of space zombies. Hello, yes. Please peruse my shops. There's no air. I'm sure something will catch your eye. Let me know if you have any questions. Pro Tool. These brooms are the finest in Mohabumi. My family and I cut these ourselves by hand. They don't look that good. Well, then your eyes deceive you. Are you an actual witch by chance? These rooms aren't really intended for actual flying. They are collector's items for tourists, but they are still worth purchasing, and they make wonderful gifts. Oh, well, it's not a real broom then. Not that kind of space trooper. Fine. There's no air. These space zombies could use magic, so they did not need to get into melee range. Awkward for the party. Hey! Oh, it's her. Hey, you can see me, right? I think I can talk through reflections, so that's handy. If you want to meet the queen, I have an idea of where to start. My sister's a student near here. She might know some way to the palace. I'm marking her on your map, okay? Excuse me? Excuse me, please refrain from talking to the mirrors. It looks creepy. But I didn't say anything. Well, I could plainly hear you. Oops. Other people can hear me? This ghost thing takes some getting used to. Well... space, the final frontier. Oh. Love dress. That's love dress, right? That's like not a Z. That's not Zove dress. That's love dress. Love dress. There's a heart. It's love dress. Y'all, I really love you all. I just want you to know that. I want you to know that. I really love chatting with you all. I love our talks about the games and the whatnot. And, we'll get through and all that.
Somebody's watching me.
I always feel that somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Nymeria Streams, thank you for the follow. Thank you, Nymeria Streams. You know what I was thinking? One of the reasons why I'm doing so much talking before we actually start the game. Sometimes we start like within 20 minutes. Like that's like starting within the first half hour is my goal. It's just that I've got a lot on my mind recently about RPGs because there's just a lot going on. I've been thinking about it a lot. So I just want to chat with you all about it because it's interesting. I worry when someone talks about a love dress, then stops to talk about how much they love you. Love dress sounds like a rock song from the 80s by a hair metal band, Like I feel like Motley Crue might have a love dress song. Sometimes. You just miss us when you had no internet. I did. I like this person's style, but why do they have high heels for gloves? This is a question. Yes! origami shuriken. Oh my gosh, love dress baby, love dress baby, love dress, that's just a mess, love dress, that's just a mess. Dancing and a kissing, wearing all the dresses. Hands for high heels, cause I'm all sorts of messes. You know, it's just, you know, I have that on my bucket list, design an RPG. Yeah. Love Dress is a little place where we can get our fashion. Love Dress baby. Love Dress baby. I like as a distraction. It's a special skill. Hawkeye, the Love Dress is a little place where we can dress together, maybe? Yes. You know, Hawkeye and I are doing secret plans for things. It's just a thing that Hawkeye and I are doing. I'm just saying it. Step right up. What I'd look here for some new threads. That outfit is cute, but maybe it's a bit dated, eh? You'll find something you'll love here. Secret plans, yes. The people of Bohabumi have the best fashion in the world. Ask anybody, we're famous for it. Don't you want to look fabulous too? Did you know that I have a hobby of rewriting song lyrics? Krellin, I did, and I appreciate it. Your little feather cap is the definition of cute. Where did you get it? Oh, thanks. I made it, actually. Huh. I found the feather first, and I thought it was really cool, so I wanted something to put it in. I'm not super good at sewing, so I got my friend Marley to help. What a great story. Wait, I wasn't done. Oh. See, because then we had each find the... Trooper, do we need to talk about what a secret means again? Blah, 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 blah. And that's how we made it. Great. Well, if you want to buy anything, you can do that. You know, Lala is the best bard ever and kind of a goof. Very, very earnest. I've been around the world and but I've never seen a city like this. I don't know why. Mohabani is a really magical place. Literally, because it's magic. And I'm gonna find it. Do you, like, Lissa Stansfield? Been around the world? 80s? Blue-Eyed Soul, you know? Been around the world. No? Krellin knows what I'm talking about. Rissa knows too. I'm just saying. Without magic, it's hard to reach most of the city. But there's so much to see in the tourist areas. I visited the academy and sat in a class there. It was a little pointless, but it was interesting seeing how witches learn. I'm writing a travel guide, actually. I want to see everything the world has to offer. What about you? Where do you think I should go next? Oh. Go to Delphi. Delphi? I know that place. I hear the leaves are pretty in the autumn. There's a really cool band from there, too. Racism is not a genre. So, Trooper, what is your dinner plan? Pizza just showed up here. Ooh. No, Trooper, Blue-Eyed Soul isn't a genre. I saw the term Blue-Eyed Soul for the first time today in your Discord. Yeah, no, I'm telling you. Yeah. And I just want to note for the record that not all of the white people doing Blue-Eyed Soul had blue eyes. Some of them had brown eyes. I'm also noting that as well. So it wasn't even like, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I am noting that, like, it was like the Righteous Brothers, Dusty Springfield, later Lulu, George Michael, Lisa Stansfield, Adele, oh my gosh, Duffy, Tina Marie, Taylor Dane, Three Dog Night. Yeah, like it's Michael McDonald. Oh my gosh, thank you, Volpez. Michael McDonald, all day long, Michael McDonald. Oh my gosh. Yes, Michael McDonald. Thank you, Volpez. Yes. 100%. It's ABC, also ABC. Yeah. You know, it's just, yeah. I'm just so much Michael McDonald. Like it's, do you remember the song he did with Patti LaBelle, On My Own? On My Own. Oh, so many times I thought it goes more. Oh, it's only me. Oh, moment. You know. I mean, you know, right? Oh, Michael Bolton. Right? Right? Yeah. Oh, Rick Astley. Rick Astley, actually, also. I'm just saying. Also Rick Astley. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. Boom, that was the name I was trying to remember. Yeah, Michael Bolton is a really great Nessun Dorma. Oh yeah, I don't know, Verum, if you've seen Aretha Franklin's Nessun Dorma. Nice, very nice, very nice. I approve. I think the thing, you know, everybody's like, everybody's got that weird thing. Did I just Rickroll you? Maybe I have. Maybe I did just Rickroll you. Doom, 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 doom. We've been together for so long. Your heart is breaking, but you're too shy to say it. Inside we both know what is going on. You know the game and you're gonna play it. Van Morrison? Yeah. Oh. Do it. I love Aretha Franklin's Nessun Dorma. It's so good. It is so good. Now I'm Rickrolling myself. It's really true. I am. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, no, it's true. You know what's interesting about, I remember when Aretha Franklin, so Nessun Dorma is a big opera aria, and Pavarotti sings it, right? It's a big thing. And he was supposed to sing it at the Grammys, I think. Oh no, we're gonna, Verum Luna is gonna put it in our Discord, and then you'll have to see it. It's really good. It was really astonishing because it was the Grammys, I think it was, and Pavarotti was supposed to sing it, and he basically canceled at the very last moment, the day of the Grammys, because something happened. He had like a vocal thing or something, he just couldn't do it. And the Grammy people were like freaking out because they had this whole like orchestra, they'd all rehearsed to do it in Pavarotti's key, and Pavarotti couldn't do it. And Aretha Franklin was like, I'll do it. And they're like, okay. And so she sang last minute Nessun Dorma in Pavarotti's key, and she just did Nessun Dorma right there in the Grammys, and it was phenomenal, and people kind of freaked out. Like, some people thought it was great, but a bunch of people were like, oh my God, I can't believe Aretha Franklin is singing opera. She shouldn't be singing opera. That's so wrong, because it sounds too much like soul, and I'm like so upset. People are so like whatever, but it's great. It's really cool. Like, I appreciate, like, she clearly loved the song. She stepped in the last minute, she did it, and I was like, good for you, Aretha. What I'm getting here is that Blue Eyed Soul is a genre, right? Yeah, it is. It's a sketch. Like, it's sketch is what it is, but there you go. Yeah, it's because Aretha's amazing. Hello, Max Maximoff. Oh, thank you. Yeah, she had great pipes. And the thing is, I think people were mad because she didn't sing opera as if she were an opera singer. She sang it as if she were a gospel singer, and that's what she did. And it was really cool, and I really enjoyed, like opera's not like the Bible. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can reinterpret it. It's okay. Like, people were really weird about it, right? Because she is a gospel singer. Yeah, people were really weird, and I'm like, it's okay to like reinterpret opera songs. It's all right. Like, it's okay. It's okay to do Shakespeare with everybody dressed up like it's the 1980s if you want. It's okay. Like, you can do the stuff. It's all right. Like, people reinterpret the Bible. I suppose they do, actually. They do. Like, I know some people didn't like the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes, but like, I thought the aesthetic was cool. Like, I thought it was cool. An opera can be very unapproachable, so like, make it approachable. Do something cool with it. You know? You know what's interesting about the Bible is that the Catholic Bible and the Protestant Bible are not actually the same. They don't have all the same books in it because Protestant Reformation and all sorts of stuff. Like, and I think that's interesting. Like, they're just like translations, like what translation you use and like where did you get your translation. Like, they're interesting things. C Spider says Romeo plus Juliet is the best adaptation. Come at me. I don't know. Sea Spider, I really like the Zeffirelli. The costuming is amazing, but I like them both a lot. Like, those are two I like them both. No, they're not. There are other things in the Eastern Orthodox Bible. So yeah, right. There are other things in the Eastern Orthodox Bible. That's really interesting. I think the Bible's a really fascinating text. Like what the Apocrypha, what things made it in, what things didn't, and in which version. Like, I think all of that is like really interesting. Thank you. Oh, bother. This baton is always acting up. It's an old family heirloom, enchanted somehow, tracked to music. But the thing's so bloody sensitive. I can't do as much as walk by a musician. I'm sure it's lovely for conducting, as long as the band is kilometers away. Wah! Blimey! On one occasion, I was out and about with this thing, and I had the misfortune to run into a marching band. I was trapped in a high place for hours. They had to bring someone to get me down. Oi, could you please stop that? All right, I'll stop it. And then you get those yahoos talking about reading the Bible in the original English. Oh, yeah. When I first heard that, I was like, that's not how the Bible works. Oh, Rudolph. Why do you keep doing it until it gives you the thing? I know, I should just like, maybe. Do not get me started on the Bible translations. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that. No, Scabbynack. Yeah, I pity the 1610 on onlys. Yeah. Wait, no, I totally am. Yeah, no, there is, okay, do you want to know something super creepy? Very interesting. I read a really interesting article about neo-Nazi churches. My BFNL essay was on that topic in translation interpretation. Half art. That sounds so cool. What was really interesting? I was doing a kind of a thing about Germany and Judaism, like the relationship, like Judaism and Germany, sort of historically, and about the ways in which a lot of German Protestants went back to the Hebrew texts for their new translations, like sort of with the idea that the Catholic Bible version of the Bible was not as like, anyway, they want, like, so there's this really interesting relationship between German Protestant, like basically Lutheranism and Judaism, because of the ways in which Lutherans like kind of got obsessed with Judaism when they were sort of working on their sort of translations, sort of like Lutheran Bible stuff. And that was super interesting. That, like, I thought that was interesting. But so there are these neo-Nazi churches. Mormons only recognize the Gideon's Bible translation. Oh, that's so interesting. So there are these neo-Nazi churches in the U.S. and they believe the Bible was originally in English. That's a thing. Want a great misreading the Bible with Western eyes? Ooh, that sounds really cool. Hawkeye. I'm gonna write that down. That sounds like a really interesting book that I bet I would be interested in. Let me write this down somewhere. I'm going to put it in a tab because what I do, tabs, you may not realize this about me, maybe you do. Misreading the Bible with Western eyes is that I'm really into tabs as a to-do list. The Bible with Western eyes. E. Randolph. E. Randolph Richards. Cool. Very cool. I like things like that. We had a protest Bible called the New Jerusalem Bible. Oh, that's interesting. Well, they also think Jesus... No, Vulpus, they do. That was the other thing. 2 minutes to show how we can read out of context. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, no, Vulpus. And they actually think that this was so fascinating. I thought this was really interesting. They thought that Jesus and the 12 apostles were all Germanic. Like somehow, like, and nobody else was though, like nobody else was, but just Jesus and the apostles, that somehow Germans made it into Jerusalem in ways that I'm not quite certain how that tracks, but like it's, and the thing that was interesting is that, is that there's just something really fascinating about how that worked for them, because that just doesn't make any sense at all. Do you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't, that just doesn't make any sense. But like somehow that was like part of how they framed things, and so that's interesting to me. Oh, it's you from the boat. Oh, are you a student here? Wink. I'm winking, of course, because I know you are not. If you've come to learn about magic, well, while I admire your pursuit of that knowledge, there's not much you can do with it. You're not a witch, correct? Unless you are born with the gift. Why are some born with magic and some not? The answer's not clear to us yet. That's the primary subject of my research, yeah? The Germanic people in the air all just happen to either be or know the Son of God. What's weird about that? So strange. Speaking of, that's another thing about magic I think is interesting. In your TTRPG, is magic an inborn trait so that not everyone can do magic? Or is magic something that anyone can do if they just have enough knowledge? Like, how does magic work? Like, what is the metaphysics of magic in your game? And I think that's really interesting. GURPS has multiple different options. There's also the option, and GURPS also has mana levels where, for example, if you're in a 0 mana space, you actually just can't do magic because there's no mana there. But you could also be like a very high mana where like everyone can do magic, and maybe they shouldn't because it might be a little bit dangerous because there's way too much mana around. So like there's like a lot of different ways of sort of doing it, which is interesting. I once had a DM that was going to let my cleric wizard be a rabbi with a Bible as my spellbook. Oh, Hawkeye, that would be so cool. That would be really cool. That would be cool. Jer says, my great-grandpa was a Freemason, so I ended up with some weird religious texts. That would be so, like, I find all of religion really interesting. Sorry if I didn't notice you just now. I'm working on my thesis. Just going back and forth, like, from my room to the library, day and night, forever. And I forget how to talk like a normal person. Hey, grad student, how are you? It's a grad student right now. Sally's a grad student. I want you to know and have feelings for her. I love dealing with those people. I show them a pic of my friend Ephriata. He's 6'4", very dark skin Rasta, and I swear you look at him and he's the spitting image for Jesus from almost any pic. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, you know what? I have got one of my colleagues who's an ethnomusicologist. He deals with Ethiopian Jews, right? So like one of the things he studies is the music of Ethiopian Jews, because Ethiopian Jews are actually really quite old in terms of like lineage. And so like there's like also just like really interesting, like the world's interesting. The worlds are interesting. There are dead magic zones in dark matter. Our gnome engineer is working on converting the ship so we can still fly in that space. Oh, cool, Origami Shuriken. You're my kind of GM. You know that though. I'm studying different kinds of magic. Different individuals produce different magics, even when they attempt the same thing. But now I'm freaking out because there's no reason I can find for why that is. It won't make for a very, very compelling presentation. The academy is so important to me. I grew up always thinking I'd study here, dreaming about it. And now that I'm here, I wanted to create the most groundbreaking thesis, really discover something, but it's easier said than done. Now I just hope I can graduate. You know, relax, just relax. Hey, Hiccuping Boots. Hiccuping Boots? Egyptian spells were tales you told while doing an action. So to heal an eye infection, you applied the potion while telling the story of a one-ship captain. Oh, one-eyed ship. Oh, nice. How many of this NPC you see? I see a lot of this NPC a lot, especially my master students who are really stressing out about being able to come up with something original. I'm like, you just need to relax. Like, you cannot stress yourself out like this. Like, it will be okay. It will be okay. It will be okay. But my poor students. I live the NPC. Yes. Tundra. Sis? I live that NPC. Kandra, Am I seeing things? Hal, what are you doing in the mirror? I need your help, Khan. I need to talk to Mom. Oh gosh, Hal. It's 9:50. I'm just gonna finish the conversation and I'll go. She's been worried sick about you. We all have. What happened to you? I died, Can. I know that. But how? No! Hawkeye, Hawkeye, we need to make you a regular. We're making you a regular, Hawkeye. Can! An accident. Like me stressing about the final arc of my campaign and wanting to have the next one lined up so I don't get post-party letdown? Yes. An accident? That's all I get? Everything's always a secret for me. They didn't even tell me when you vanished, Hal. I'm not a baby anymore. I'm sorry, Ken, but I can't talk about it now. What do you need? I'm tied down to this body. Hi, by the way. Hey. Too many business. I'm a bard. But we don't have access to magic. So how can we get into the palace? No magic? But wait a second. Did you say you're a singer? What? Oh, that's right. What? I was just studying in this class a little known fact that magic is actually just advanced music. What? And way, way, way back, we used songs to do magic. Found it. Try singing this. It worked. It worked? I can do magic? Well, sort of. Singing is primitive compared to real magic, but these crystals are extra magic sensitive, so they'll respond to you. That's the only example song in the book. I wish I could be more help, but Amaris would know tons more spell songs. Oh no, not her. Who? Our older sister. She's headmaster of this whole school, and yeah, a pain to deal with. I don't want to see her. I don't think she wants to be seen by anybody. She's been hiding at the top of her tower for weeks. There's also Badria. I can mark where she lives for you, Hal. Maybe she can help too? That's a much better idea. Thank you, Ken. I wanted to give you a hug just now, but I guess you're just a ghost in a mirror. I love you, Hal. I love you too, sis. Well, I feel like that's gonna be our game for today, and then I'm going to eat all of the food, and it'll be great. That's what we're gonna do. And I don't know why I'm walking this way. Woo! Okay. Guess what I just learned? I just learned how that works. And I feel special. Oh. Wah. Oh. Okay. Oh, this is very exciting. So, snap, right? Okay, so it looks like we can only do stuff there. I'm just doing the walk. No, we're oh, hi. Hey. Something so music sensitive could be useful. Perhaps. So I thought to bring it to the academy. Chaps here know a thing or two about magic. Or maybe they could fix the bloody thing. That would be nice. Blasted thing, enough already. That's it. All right, I'm going. I just want to say hi to Miriam. I just want to say hi to her to make sure that she's okay and that, you know. See, look, we can talk to her right here. That's it. Miriam, You got a broom. Yeah, I had to do a bunch of pointless side quests, but I got one of those cheap shop brooms. It's not exactly good. Going more than a couple feet off the ground is pretty terrifying. I'm trying to get used to it. Well, that's okay. Guess what? What? I learned how to do magic. What? Well, singing can do magic. And not just like the magic of friendship, but like real magic, like spells that do things. That's great. Well, I'm in no shape to take a passenger yet, so I guess keep doing your thing. Figure out how to get to the castle. I'll learn how to fly this thing, and then we can join forces. See, now this is like the good place to end the stream. This is embarrassing. I only flew my grandmother's broom. Everyone here makes it look so easy, and I look like an idiot. I guess now I'm just the failure witch. Can't even do basic witch things. No, it's okay. It's not us. You can play all night long if you want to. You're an adult. That sim will be disappointed if you don't take yourself. No. I'm going to go eat some food and get ready for Critical Role. Say hi to Miriam and tell her you're a better magician. No, I'm totally not going to do that. It's okay. I can't fly brooms either. Yeah, but you aren't a witch. I can finally explore the rest of this market. There's a lot here, most crap. I guess this is what witches like though. I was checking this out, this candy. It's really weird. Sappy never made stuff like this. All this candy is made from stuff around here. You'd never see this back in Delphi. There's this one familiar flavor though. It's kind of like this wild mushroom you used to pick, grew under the trees in Delphi. She would cook it into everything, and I don't think it's exactly the same, but the taste really reminds me of those mushrooms. I wonder if she was trying to mimic this. I wonder if Sappy ever lived here. She never told me about it if she did. I never even asked her where she came from. I wish I had. I like to think she was once here, or maybe she grew up here? I don't know why, but I like to think that. So just so you know, I'm going all the way to the end of the docks, right here, and then we're calling it. So that when we start next time, we just jump in and just jump in. And then we walk the whole route. We walk the whole way, and it'll be great. Quit the game, yes. There. All right, I'm with you. I feel like, okay, look, I just saved the game. So here's the thing. I actually think that this light looks different now that I have this black sound curtain up. But I do think the black sound curtain gives a better sound, right? I got a lot done in game. No, I'm going right now. Don't you think we did, and also I started at 6:20, so it's technically just time. Don't you think, yeah, I think the sound is better, right? I feel like the sound is a lot better. So now I've got to just sort of think about the light. Like the light's not bad. The light's not bad, but I'm not getting enough light over here. So I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. So what's next? What's next is that I am going to go, do mod things, Hawkeye. Thank you all for being here. I am going to go and I'm going to get food, is what I'm going to do. And then in, 37 minutes, I'm going to host Critical Role on my channel. So if you want to watch Critical Role and hang out with people who are very friendly to talk to, you can chat with us. And I have a Discord you can join if you like. You can always follow, which I think is down here now, or subscribe if you like. You can watch me. You can follow me on Twitter, Academic Foxhole. I'm planning on another long Twitter thread, but I've got to go through like 70 pages of data before I make this Twitter thread. I'm excited for the Twitter thread, but it's going to be a lot of data crunching first. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, Academic Foxhole, be prepared for that. You can also find me on YouTube, which is Trooper SJP, where I have the archive of our shows. And then lastly, I also have a Patreon, which is Academic Foxhole, and that's 4 RPGs on this channel to support paying the cast. And I'm looking at some Jackie Dash in August. Dates to be determined. So that's it. This is it. The best part about Trooper Stream is chat kicking me out of his own stream at the end. And by the way, I appreciate it. Like, I appreciate you kicking me out of my game at the end of stream because, sometimes need people to do that for me. I'm just saying that sometimes I need that to happen. So let's expect some Cthulhu Confidential in August for our August game, and then City of Light and Shadow Season 2 with Greg Grimjack in September. Maybe make it a video with your new camera instead. Then you can just tweet the video link. Yeah, Jer, I see you. I see you. Anyway, I'm gonna eat. Take care, everybody. I'm not gonna raid tonight right now because I'm just gonna go eat. So, well, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna raid. I'm gonna just see who's live right now because actually, I think Polished might be live. And if she is, I just want to see. Because if she's live, she is. Look, we're gonna just raid Polished Cryptid. We're gonna set up the raid, and then I'm gonna go eat. So. We're going to raid Polished Cryptid because she's really cool. I like her very much. And so everybody give her some love. This is our raid command. And by the way, I'm getting food like so hardcore. So this is our raid command. Everybody let's go and give Polished some love because she's pretty awesome. So we're going to go and do our raid. Give the love, everybody. And I will catch you on the flip side. You all are the greatest. I think you're awesome. And give Polish some love and take care of yourselves. And I will see you maybe Saturday at noon for the Outer Worlds, I hope. We'll see. All right. Bye, everybody.